From Africa's entrepreneurial frontier, Founders Battlefield continues its second season, and in episode 2, we go even deeper into the exchange. This time, we confront the invisible war inside every founder, the battle between scarcity and abundance. Scarcity says, there isn't enough. Abundance whispers, there's room for all of us. Host Michael Macharia, founder of 7 Seas Technologies, Ponea Health, and Founders Battlefield, leads a raw and revealing conversation on how these two mindsets shape trust, leadership, and legacy. Alex Nyaga, founder of Parapet Group, reveals how to build integrity in industries where loyalty is tested daily. Edward Kinyanjui, founder of Plexus Energy Limited, shares his shift from accountant to renewable energy entrepreneur and how embracing abundance turned constraint into creativity. Flora Mutahi, founder of Melvin Marsh International, Melvin's Tea, reflects on navigating policy gaps and competition while building a legacy rooted in resilience. This is Founders Battlefield.
Thank you. We are here again, and today is we are in season 2, episode 2, and today I've got amazing guests. Some of them are trying to bail out, but I made sure. Somehow the spirit brought them to the show, and we're going to really enjoy talking to them. And today's episode is about abundance and scarcity mentality and what it does to us as entrepreneurs, the way you think abundance and you think scarcity. When you have a scarcity mindset as an entrepreneur, does it help? Does it not? Does it push you, or does it limit you? So today with me, I'm amazing guests, okay? And we will delve into this. And one of my guests told me she's not sure, or he is not sure, how much they can delve into this topic. But I challenged them. I told them for the next 3 hours, 2 hours, we're going to talk about scarcity and abundance, because we have to have a society where we are abundant. And an abundant society creates more value. And I would like to introduce our great guests. We start with Edward. Edward is going to introduce himself. Then we have Alex, and we have Flo. Flo, welcome.
Thank you.
And she told me I don't introduce her first, but I said Sawa. I start with Edward. Edward, maybe you could start a quick introduction, and then we move into our conversation.
Thank you, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here on this rainy morning. My name is Edward Kinyanjui. I'm a father, a husband, a businessman, and a Kenyan. It's a very interesting topic because when Mike sent me the notes that we are going to talk about abundance and scarcity, I went back to how I was brought up. And I thought, when God created the world, he gave dominion. He created man in his image and gave him dominion over the world. So that's where my thinking is coming from. What does dominion over the world mean? It means there's a lot of resources and it's within our control. So there are so many things we are going to talk about. I look forward to discussions, engaging, and more importantly, learning more about what people think, perception, and how do we relate it to our everyday situations. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thanks. Good to have you in the show, and then we go to Alex. Alex, let me tell you, I've been trying to get Alex. We've been on this 3-4 months. He's Alex. Finally, he's here. Alexander, tell us.
Alexander Frederick Nyaga Mugu.
Oh wow!
But then my mom called me Michael Macharia.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for having me here this morning. It's been a conversation that has been long-standing, and when you told me about this idea of the battlefield, I was just like, yes, it's important that we as entrepreneurs tell our stories. My name is Alex Nyaga. Alex Frederick Nyaga Mugu. I am the group CEO at Parapet, a business that we started over 28 years ago. Well, I was a young 21-year-old, so I've revealed my age. And I think one of the things that I'm a love of life. and a very proud Rotarian. Having been in Rotary for the last 23 years. And that organization, more than any other school of thought, has taught me around the power of abundance and the beauty of being very intentional about living out an abundant life. And I'm looking forward to this conversation around that as we now merge business with the scarcity mentality thoughts and also the abundance thoughts around how we can be able to view the world and view what we do on a day-to-day basis of what creates impact in our own livelihoods, our families, as well as our businesses. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I like what you talk about Rotarian. So it means you need to give to get.
Yes.
And I think Rotary has that motto, right? Mm-hmm. There's a very interesting tagline for Rotary. What is it?
Service above self.
Above self. So I guess you started early.
Yes. Service above self. In everything that you do, you always ask to ask yourself, am I being of great service to others? Because that's where now you get your abundance. That's the reward you receive about living out an abundant life. And in everything that we do today, even in business today, an entrepreneur starts a business to be able to, at that point, probably think about making money for themselves. But actually, when you shift your mindset around, you're creating employment for someone. You're creating a livelihood for someone else, because there is no organization without people. People are are part and parcel in the heart of a business. And ideally, you who is in that service of creating a business, you're just a facilitator of being able to create livelihoods around you. And with it, the result or the dividend becomes that money that you make out of it. But ultimately, you're serving others.
Fantastic. We're going to go do a bit deeper into that. Flo, how are you?
I'm very well.
Finally, you're here.
How many months has that been?
Why are you revealing that she's the one who was?
I thought Flo said, Mike, even. Flo, you're here.
Yes, I'm here.
And today we're going to talk about abundance. We're not going to talk about grandiose business, balance sheet, and debit and credit. Today we're talking about
abundance,
the unseen stuff in business.
Yes.
Welcome, Flo.
Thank you very much. Mm-hmm. My name is Flora Mutahi, an entrepreneur. It's going to be, and founder CEO of Melvin's Tea, which is going to be 30 years old, 2 years more than you, in November this year. So, other than that, I'm very passionate about growing other entrepreneurs, the youth, women, avid golfer, family person, Christian. That's me. So, interesting topic, I must say. When I saw it, I was like, oops, okay. But we do, and I keep telling all the entrepreneurs that I speak to, we are currently living in a world of abundance. There's a lot of everything going on. Today, if you come up with a business idea, there are 10 people with the same idea. If you come up with, whatever you come up with, it's probably been done before. So this is an area that, as an entrepreneur, if you want to stand out, which is one of my biggest principles, there's no point doing what everybody else is doing, is you really have to stretch and build your muscle and your mind around innovation and doing things differently. So, interesting topic. I want to look at it from that, because for abundance, you have to match it with an abundance mindset. And I think that's where our topic today is going to be really, do we have an abundance mindset or a scarcity mindset? That's, I guess, is what we're going to be debating today. So interesting times. And
I think it's great the way you also looked at it in terms of mindset. And it brings me, there's something we call the African Founders Operating System. So as we continue doing as season one, we realize there are 5 principles that entrepreneurs must go through. The first one is strategic mindset. No, like strategic mindset. The next one is, I call it strategy first, right? The next one is mindset. The next one is emotion, social and spiritual. Meaning that there are some decisions you make knowing very well your soul is telling you, no, that one should not happen. So that's your spiritual mind telling you that should not happen. But when you talk about abundance, it's a mindset issue. It's not a strategic. You don't put abundance into a spreadsheet. Do you?
No.
No.
So today it's a mindset conversation.
It is.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's a mindset conversation. And it also brings us to ask ourselves, as a society, do you think we are abundant? Do you think we have scarcity mindset? And do you think there's an origination of where as a society, whether you guys are going to tell us what you think, in your lens of life, when you look as a Kenyan and as an African, do you think we are an abundant mindset, or do you think we have scarcity mindset? In every day when you look at life as you go around.
I think we need to probably think about our upbringing, and I would probably like to categorize it in different age sets. There is your Gen Zs, there is now your millennials and Gen X and your boomers, and it's how these generations were brought up, or rather, and I normally use an analogy of look at how we as Kenyans go for when you're invited to a wedding and you're invited to the buffet, what we end up starting to serve. Yeah, you will fill up everything from your mchele, you'll go to your potatoes, you'll go to the vegetables, and the icing, you put your melon and your pineapple in one plate. Without thinking that, ideally, I can take my soup.
Are you to blame the Kenyan or the person who spread it out?
No, there's a spread. There's enough for everybody. But what do we think? That if I miss this queue, I might come back and not find my pineapple. So let me eat everything together. And asking yourself the same thing, that I can have enough of just having a chapati and some adodo and I'm okay. But there is this spread and I want to fill up everything. Same tummy, but there is that scarcity mentality that I might lose out. Now, if that's how we are put out to a buffet table, now what do we think about acquisition? And it talks about all the other elements that fall into play. Corruption. It's all about the scarcity of what I intend to lose. So I want to take advantage of every small opportunity that presents itself to me to be able to take. Right? And that probably, now when you look at different generations, the boomers, for instance, grew up in a lot of difficulty and poverty. I mean, all the time now things were building up and so on. And I remember Mzeo, a friend of mine, who made me understand about the situation that they were in. And as he grew, he created his own wealth. And then he would go to a store, buy a suit, and then when he goes for fitting to the tailor, and the tailor cuts his long trouser, he would take that piece of cloth and still store it at home. Why? Because in the village, they grew up knowing that if that trouser issues, there's a kiraka that can be put. But this guy does not realize he has enough money to be able to buy another suit in case it's worn out. So it's how they were brought up during that particular stage in their life. That in everything, there is the fear of poverty that I would not ever want to lack again. And that in itself becomes the fear of having a growth mindset, but most importantly, just trying to retain what you have. I'm just giving that as an example for the boomers now in how their situation is. And are they to blame for it? In how they were brought up? I mean, it's just a consequence. This is just a result of how somebody grew up.
Their season.
And ultimately, I don't think there should be any blame around how they have that scarcity mentality. And it does on even how they make certain decisions in terms of how they bring up their families, in terms of how they run their businesses, where very few either break that glass ceiling in terms of scaling up their businesses and wanting to hold on to little things. And these are the same guys, by the way, in their homes. They will lock every room and they leave the house.
You lock plates.
Plates are removed once a year.
Well, how about locking the food?
And organics come.
But if you take it to the business front, I think we also have a very big problem there. And just look at it here. When you start doing something, within no time, somebody else has copied you and has commercialized it. For me, again, that is a very scarcity mentality, because you're so innovative or uncreative or confident in yourself, or you're perhaps just not applying your mind like you could, and you just then start ending up picking up what everybody's doing. I remember when I was starting my Melvin's tea, can you imagine, our first product was actually salt, free-flowing salt. So I remember when I needed to develop my packaging for it, I went to a company I'd been told they do packaging. And before I knew it, I'm a 20-something-year-old, I'm being shuttled into the CEO's office. I'm thinking, what's going on here? So in the CEO's office, he's asking me, what do you want to do? And just being a young whatever, I'm like, yeah, I want to start packing salt, and it's free-flowing salt. In Kenya, we don't have free-flowing salt. I think it's going to be revolutionary. Within 3 weeks, his product was in the market. And I thought, really? I'm just 20-something. This is a business that had been running for years. But apparently what had happened is they had free-flowing salt long time ago, and they had shelved it because the volumes were not big. So I think they decided to rush to market before I did. Scarcity mentality. I think people should be confident in what they're doing, innovative enough to be able to go out there and just keep developing. And it happens everywhere. I mean, it happens globally. We see people who go to expos with photos and cameras and reproducing. It's unfortunate. It doesn't really support innovation, but I guess it keeps the economy moving.
Interesting. And Edward, what's your lens? It's interesting how, Flo, you looked at it, and the way your first experience with, you see, it's very subconscious. You've just talked about what happened to you. You started with a salt product, and then you went somewhere. So your first recollection of scarcity was that moment.
Yes.
Without realizing it, right?
Yeah.
Edward, how do you look at, what's your lens on this scarcity and abundance mentality? Are you being an accountant?
Yes.
Maybe accountants, they say accountants have a scarcity mindset.
They're the worst. They're supposed to be the worst.
You know, interestingly, I did not choose to be an accountant. So when I was in high school, the Strathmore team came to our school and said they want to interview people who want to do CPA. I never heard of CPA. So our principal called us by name. The people are doing well in maths. So that's how I ended up doing an interview to go to Strathmore. And to escape the work at home, when I was invited to join CPA, because those days you used to wait 2 years to go to the university.
Yeah.
I was very excited to go.
We're all in that age.
Yeah. And I remember in the first day they asked me, do you want to do SCC or CPA? I checked the guy next and I saw his tick CPA. That's how I ended up there.
Wow.
But when we were discussing this thing of abundance and scarcity, it took me back to in the 90s. You remember when there was a structural adjustment programs? And a lot of our parents, relatives and neighbors lost their jobs. And there was this thing called the golden handshake. And people were given cash, started businesses. Majority of them failed because they never done business before. And that was a generation where people would go to school, get a job with the government. So getting a job was a norm. And unfortunately for us, it was a time when we were just getting out of school. There was so much failure. There was so much fear of debt. And I remember a lot of people in our time trying to go to the US, you know, the thing of trying to get visas. And it was, people would borrow statements. There was, the environment was very tough. And when any one of us landed a job, we took it with so much seriousness because of the fear, not because that we wanted to work very hard, probably, but because of the environment. So I think sometimes the environment shapes our thinking. It's only much later, I remember reading a book and it started talking of good debt and bad debt. And my late father would tell me, avoid debt, work hard, save, and the first investment, build your own house. And I'm here reading this book and it's telling me there's good debt and bad debt. Good debt is what makes you money, and bad debt is what loses you money. And now I'm conflicted because the environment I've come up with and what I've seen, and you see, I'd seen even relatives where Somebody picked a loan, had no business experience, tried something, failed, auctioned. So there was a lot of fear on what, debt can do to you. Then I'm here reading a book which says you can multiply your money by taking debt and growing. And it would give comparisons of employment and business. So I started doing more research and realizing, no, there are more opportunities, for example, going into business than just employment. So when I reflect back, I see what was going on in the country shaped a lot of our thinking. And a lot of us have not moved on. There's still the general fear, even when you succeed in business or you get into a position of higher position in employment, you still find a lot of us, we try to keep staff because of the fear of not fearing to go back to what you saw or where you grew up in. So I think to change that, we need to look at the environment and get more exposure. And one of the advantages today is, for example, internet. Unfortunately, those days, access to information was very tough. Today, anything that is going on in the world is easily accessible, and you can learn and see the ups and downs of economies. But it's us to make an effort to get out of that thinking and understanding that was the environment that time, and things change. And they will, at any one time in life, there will be ups and downs. And you don't have to worry, you just need to navigate and prepare for those days.
I'm going to ask you a very crazy question. How much is enough? You guys, how much at what point do you say, this is enough, I have enough? Going forward, I'm building for everybody else. Have you guys reached that position? And how much is not about money? It's also about giving. It's about your emotional position. Even sometimes, do you think you have enough love to give? How much is enough for you? That question could come multiple ways. How do you think, how much is enough? You could think money, love, commitment. How much is enough?
I think it totally depends, like you say, on what is enough. And remember, an empty cup cannot fill. So first of all, I think, if you look at the Maslow's laws, you come, you get, I think it's food, shelter, then you start self-reliance. And of course, some of us here, we know we are maturing, especially in years. And then you start saying, yes, I can definitely give enough. So, even in parenting, are you giving enough love to your children? Because you perhaps have built your own firm foundation. So I think it's if you have dealt with the foundational, and that's what is so important. And I'm really loving this young generation where even the ones who go through trauma or the ones who go through issues are able to go and talk to the shrink. They talk about having a shrink these days like we go to a dentist. So they're tending to deal with a lot of foundational issues. So whether it is, to do with money, to do with emotions, it's there. So for me personally, of course for business, I've done it 30 years. And about 28 years in, I realized I definitely have a lot to give. Because you just make a comment, somebody...
28 years.
It's going to be 30. So people just come back and say, you know what you said the other day? And I'm like, oh, really? Oh, really? So the other day, 28 years ago, I decided, that's when I started to try and write a book. And I said, I have 11 foundational principles that have to be in place if you want to actually build a firm business. And I've put it down. It's taken me 2 years to a year and some, to put it out there. But that's what I'm calling, it's not enough, but I have enough to start to share. I've also started mentoring entrepreneurs to scale their businesses. Because when you look on the African continent, 22% of entrepreneurs are on the African continent. Now, let me tell you, Mike, you'll be so surprised. They are all small businesses, less than 0.something% that have scaled. African.
Scale up, yes.
You know that. So for me, I'm like, this narrative has got to change in my lifetime. Let me see what I can do. So what I do is I don't deal too much with the beginning, but the ones who are already happily on their way, just helping them push. And it becomes a conversation. I learn from them too. Just helping them push. And so that for me it was not enough, but I had enough to begin.
Okay.
So that's where I would say. So you have to give.
So the question, what you've just said, you need to have enough to begin.
Yes.
So there is always this narrative, me when I grew up, we never had shoes, We used to walk to school bare feet. Now we have got shoes. Then you know that you see people who have come from that environment, and it's not. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
It is. The question is,
When
at
do
what
you,
point do you know you have enough to give?
yeah, and get over it. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Let's get over our past. It happened. It was there. Don't wear it as a badge of honor. Please, just wear it as a scar and move on. And that's where I tend to find people, oh, because I whatever, and then I'm going to have this abundance, scarcity mentality because, no, listen, go get the help you need, start giving back or start building and start moving, whether it is you or the ones that that we are responsible for, which is the next generation. And let me tell you, if we do not deal with this youth bulge that is seeing us in this continent, we're going to have a problem.
Interesting. You know, as you say that, it's inside because we can dovetail to what Alex does. Alex employs over 3,000 people. You guys are aware?
Yeah,
3,000.
it's a big number.
Don't remind me about the payroll.
You know, Alex, you have no choice. They say liability is carried.
Yeah.
Those 3,000 people, maybe they depend on our 5,000. So your life has a 15,000 shillings balance sheet.
Yeah,
Upende,
especially in an African context.
usipende. At what point, Alex, do you think, what is enough for you?
You see, I think it's first and foremost how we were created as human beings. We are created to be relevant. Otherwise, if you live a life where you just get up in the morning and just sit all day and, lack of a better word, kongevia, just be there. And the day comes to an end, sunset comes, and you're back again to sleep. I think you will be the most useless human being in existence. And I believe each one of us were created for greatness in everything that we do. Be it in our business that you've started. I think when people look at and see the bigger deal of what you're doing, not just chasing money. Remember I said, you're saying enough is, you should not think about the finances.
No, enough is
but
what?
more so the impact that you create.
Enough children,
others. You know? Yes. Right? Yeah. And when you look at every demographic, people are surviving. People are living. And you can and you can have even different situations where you may have all the money, but poor in spirit and poor at heart. And then there's somebody else who may not have that money and is very comfortable with their life in shags. And as long as they're having a meal, they have a roof over their head, and the guy is content. Now, when you look at all that, you ask yourself, okay, is there any limit to what is enough to life? And I think for me, it's about impact. How many lives are you impacting by you breathing here on earth and creating relevance in your life? And that's where I think you now, it differentiates you from removing this whole veil of thinking that when I start my business, I'm going to grow it to this particular level, I am going to buy a house, I am going to buy a car, and then I've reached. There is no reaching. More money, more problems, and everything that comes with it.
But do they know that?
Well, the thing is that fun?
It just becomes a rat race.
It's a rat race. Yeah, and when you look at some of the, what I would supposedly call the successful entrepreneurs, the Bill Gates of this world, what are they doing today? It has reached a point where money is making, whether the guy is asleep, money is still coming in. But where is he spending the most of his time? He's actually giving back. He's actually spending time more or less thinking about problems around disease. How can I solve that? And in the attempt to make life better. And with it, impacting others, not themselves anymore. And I think that's where we need to, when you want to get out of that rat race of thinking that there is enough, or that there's a point, that there's an end point to what is called to be enough in life, is when you realize that that will never give you the satisfaction that you desire in your life. And the only way that you can be able to get that satisfaction is for what you do to others. It's for the very existence of how you run your business. How is it impacting lives? Either for your people, your staff, or for the product or services you're creating to impact generations to come.
Interesting. And you talked about impact on others. At what point in life do you start realizing it's not about you anymore? Okay. That the other day I was in a funeral and it was maybe 4 or 5 hours, and I sat there, read the eulogy, the booklet they give you. I read every page, every word. And I asked myself, hey, at what point when you read your eulogy one day, I was thinking to myself, if it is me reading about myself like this, what would it be? And I realized the thing you thought were balance sheet items, okay? What you thought were balance sheet items, they actually become P&L items,
Yes.
the profit and loss. And that also brings me to Edward. You're a finance guy. There's balance sheet and profit and loss. Balance sheet are those things when it's like a glass. When it falls, it crashes, the balance sheet value has gone. Profit and loss are those things you can bounce back. It's a ball that bounces back. So today you may make loss, but tomorrow profit is back. But balance sheet remains, you keep building balance sheet. So when I turned 50 the other day, I asked myself, I realized when I was 40, what I thought was P&L became balance sheet. Time. All of a sudden you realize time, when it was used to look at it as a P&L. Now time is a balance sheet item.
Yes.
And you start realizing assets, the more you think about them, are they really profit and loss? Are they assets? Balance sheet. So you start realizing relationships become balance sheet. But early in your early life, you can even burn bridges, not realizing that bridge is what is going to make you move forward. So you as a finance person, how have you revalued your life from a balance sheet to a P&L? Especially in this issue of abundance and scarcity. You understand? So you look at it from a finance point of view. It's very objective, but it's really asking you, what is your balance sheet and what are your P&L items today? It's a difficult question.
It is. And I wanted to cycle back to the enough question. Something that came to my mind is, in my opinion, I think this thing of enough is a very dangerous place to be. Because the problem when you say have enough, you stop learning, you stop being creative. It's like retirement. I normally say I'm not going to retire. Probably I do something different, but I don't want to be in a situation where I wake up and have nothing to do. Because then life loses meaning. And that I find it very closely related to enough. Whether it's relationships, whether it's work, whether it's spiritual. The moment you start thinking that I have enough, you get content and you start accepting things as they are. And we all know today that there's always more to do. There's different things we can do every day. The other day, I attended a book launch, and I commend you, Flo, for writing a book.
We'll come to Flo's book. I want to launch it.
Yes.
Is this book one?
This is hot off the press.
100%.
And the person said, one of the speakers mentioned that one of the assets that is not valued, especially here in Africa, is books. Because they continue earning royalties, even after the writers are dead. And I looked at it and said, I've always thought of, real estate. The conventional things that we do, we know that these are what we call assets. The other softer things, easier. Some of them are so simple. Just write your life story. Publish it. It becomes a book. Generates revenue. Teaches people. The impact is so big that we highly undervalue. And it's something that you can do on your free time. What we call free time. So
I think also the ability to tell your own story.
Correct.
As opposed to now people coming to try and piece it together.
Correct. Imagine doing that to impact people and an upside of probably making some money out of it. So I think for me, I wouldn't want to classify that I know what enough means. I want to be in a position where I want to learn more every day and probably do something different and see the outcomes. Because it's only that, by doing that, that I create experiences that even others can learn from me. So I would want to, and probably this is open for discussion, people refusing to say that we have enough. And this goes all the way to even the way we run our companies, how we make decisions for the country, and refusing to accept what we have and wanting more. Another thing that I read the other day is this issue of benchmarking and research. So, and this publication was saying the country that does that, so it was comparing population. The country with the highest researchers per 1 million people, I think, was Israel. They have about 50,000 people for every million who are doing research. When you take the same data to Africa, I think Kenya, we are about 400 researchers for a population of 1 million shillings. And this sort of explains why sometimes we accept mediocrity and why we put our target so low to the extent that you find somebody just because he's running a small business and is making a small profit, there's no ambition to grow. Another model I saw is how, for example, the Chinese have come together, created a saving economy, put their money together, and are coming to invest in Africa and doing mega projects. And these projects are being done by money saved by ordinary folk. We have a very successful system called the SACCO and Chamas, where we pool money. But are we doing the right way in investing that money? Are we still doing the conventional way of getting together, buying plots, subdividing? What else can we do that can create jobs, for example, can have bigger impact on the country so that we move from where we are and go to a next level? So that's where I'm coming from.
But you know, something you just said, interesting, I just reflected. All of you guys run businesses. At what point did you feel, okay, let me regress and ask this question. You know, there are times when I wished I was smaller as a business. I loved those moments when I was like a small business. I would pay my bills on time. There was no scalability. I just was happy. Then there's a moment, the tipping point, that you get scared. You know, once you cross that line, the fear starts. Where, at what point in your life did you know that this is the tipping point? Now from here, once I cross this line, it is no longer about you. Because earlier, all you wanted to pay is bills, you pay your car rent, you pay your car mortgage, you're happy. Yeah? Then you realize your mortgage is nothing. In the realm of everything, it's like petty cash. Yeah? So I realize it's not about you, it's about everybody else. At what point did you guys, and are you scared? Were you, today, when you look at your life, do you sometimes wish you're back in that place where it was just about you? It's the other side of the equation. At what point did you realize you're not very happy that you crossed the Rubicon?
I think when we're starting the business, one of the things that you probably don't think about the assets that you bring on board when you're building a business, and one of the biggest assets is people. You're thinking about this business idea. I can be able to offer some facilities management, cleaning stuff, and some gardening and some waste management and so on, without thinking that you're thinking at the opportunity to make money. It's a growing business concern, and I think there's scalability here, but the biggest asset being people. And that is one asset that you can't ignore, because livelihoods will be touched in case you make a decision. And decision for any founder or entrepreneur will be, this thing, I'm tired of doing it. I'm actually not interested. And I can go back and start farming. And then you realize you can't just walk away that easy. Because those X number of staff, they are looking up to you and saying, I'm supporting a family of another 7 people through this job. Now you can't quit on us. So it stops at that point from becoming, it's all about me. And that is one asset, these are people who, then the other stakeholders, your suppliers, who, a guy probably started selling you detergents when he was like a small business. Now he's scaled up pole, and thanks to you. So suppliers themselves, they start now, these are constituents of people who are dependent on this business. And I could go on and so on and so forth around people who are dependent towards that business. And that's when you realize the amount of responsibility that you have. And therein lies now the rat race of any founder, of now trying to sustain these guys. And the only way is to go up. The only way to create better profits and better livelihoods in still delivering what you set out to do, which is to create a business that is scalable, is to be able to continue being driven by these key stakeholders to do more, because there is much more at stake. Because lives will be touched, lives will be affected if you do not do something about it. So I think one of the things that it's that awareness around in everything that you're doing, there is a real deeper asset that ties you towards sticking to it. And that for me over the years is what has probably put me in a space where you can't afford to quit. And even if it came to that point that you have to quit, you've done your best to try and keep it alive. And it's usually a very difficult conversation, especially one that now you can no longer, as an entrepreneur, be selfish to yourself. And one that ideally, which is very unfortunate, keeps people so bonded to the organizations that they even feel, the way you'd feel like waking up and saying, I don't want to be the CEO anymore. I want to just be the chairman and be a fly on the wall over there and just watch things happening. And
that's wishful thinking though, but
it can't happen, because now you get the wrong hands and everything comes crumbling. Yeah, so it's a difficult part.
I have a story relating to your question. Back in 2002, so I took my first loan from the bank. I think it was 700,000 shillings. I had a very big dream. So now I read these books, and now I'm not going to build my own house. I'm going to build apartments, residual income, and so on. And 3 months later, after I picked up my loan, it was an unsecured loan. Because that time banks had started giving unsecured loans.
Kibaki time,
yeah.
We had an abundant mindset in the country.
Yes.
Now we have, I don't know where we have.
So I lost my job. And 2 big mistakes I'd done was the money first was not enough to finish the house. It was nowhere. In fact, I was just at the foundation level. Then I didn't have an income to pay the loan. And I don't have a job. So, and I remember at one point where I was very aggressively looking for jobs, thinking to myself, I think my dad was right. And if I ever finish paying this loan, I will never, ever pick a loan. So of course, a few months later, I got another job, got back, paid it off. And I remember one day, when now I'm in business, I'm here negotiating a very big facility. And before I signed, I was very scared. And I remembered back, I said, you remember many years ago when I said I would never borrow again? But when I compared the magnitude of the amounts, it was day and night. And at that point, I wished my only problem was the 700,000. But now I'm in a situation where is it I take this loan, even closing down the business is impossible. I don't know if anyone has experienced something like that, where that I don't even know what would be the exit if this is the only way for me to move to the next step. So I totally relate when you're saying there are those moments. They come and you think, I think I wish it was much simpler. I miss those days where I was only worried about rent. Now I worry too many things. I mean, I have KRA, I have employees, I have competition, I have technology change, I have to market, I'm aging, I have family.
Well, you want to step back and just
Yeah. So I mean, those moments come, and you have to consciously encourage yourself and move on. Yeah.
Flo, I'm coming to you in terms of this same conversation as Melvin T. You know, at some point, your brand is big. You're associated with the brand. At what point did you realize now it's no longer about you? And then I want us to, as she answered the question, I want you guys to think, I want you guys to reflect on a very personal conversation. Because now, you know, after 1 hour, what we tend to do now, we're going to go in a little bit deeper. And I want you to relate, as Flo is thinking about this answer, it's think about moments when you realize, my God, this is too much. And I'll tell you a personal story to help you, inspire you in that. But at what point, Flo, do you feel that my brand, my God, maybe I've taken you too far?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting to get there. I haven't got there yet.
Okay. Utapata, trust me.
But I think what you're talking about is sometimes just running scared. Doing things and you're like, oh my goodness, do I have to do this? But for me, one of my biggest pride moments is when my product went into market. You can imagine I came up with, there was salt. I told you I started, within 3 weeks I realized I'll never make money in salt. Because a ton of salt is like $100. So I was like, oh my, I don't know what I was thinking. But I was young and, inexperienced. Yeah. So when I went into this world of tea, when I realized the government had just lifted a monopoly. So it was a green field and you buy at this price and package at this, the whole value addition conversation was so sweet. And then I remember when I was going to register the business, people told me, I went down to Mombasa where the auction is, and they started saying, how do you think you can come up against a competition? How much money do you have? What's your marketing strategy? I'm looking at these people like, I wish they knew how young and naive I was. But of course, I stood my ground. And I didn't take those words lightly. I went home and I created, I said, let me just have a safety. So I came up with ginger tea and plain tea. And for me, when my first order was to Chandarana supermarket, then they took both. But when I went to the largest supermarket at the time, which was Uchumi, now you can tell how many years ago. First I got a lecture, like 45 minutes, how old are you you doing this? But the next morning, that call came that said, we don't want the plain tea because it's full in the market. We want this new thing, this new ginger tea. That for me was the moment I thought, wow, definitely, I'm on to a great thing. To the question around when do you realize? It was during COVID. You remember the world was shutting down. We were at home. We were looking at TV. I remember that image of Italy never left my mind. And I started to think, wow, when this thing comes to Kenya, Africa, what is going to happen? But, went to the office and I had a meeting with the top management. And I said, okay, guys, we have a choice. You can see what's happening in the rest of the world. Do we close down or do we continue pushing? And I remember them being very categorical, especially one of my production managers said, if I send all these people home, what are they going to do? To sit and wait and die? And I said, oh my goodness. And I said, are you guys sure? They said, yes. So we said, okay, this is what we're going to do. So of course, you remember when KEPSA and whatever, we just followed all the protocols and we worked every single day. And it was such a blessing because everybody was at home. And what did they need? Tea. 100%. Yeah, so it was a very interesting period for us. So for me, that's when I realized it's not about me. I could have said, let's shut down. But they said, absolutely not. Yeah.
It's interesting. And as you say that, moments when you pivoted, the other day I was thinking, when you talk about scarcity and abundance, there are days I used to wake up, I look at my pool, I say, this pool is about to turn green. Like, why even did I ever build this pool in my house? Like, what the heck? Then the grass is nice. Then you see the weeds are coming. Like, you know, then the dogs are barking. Who is going to take care of it? You know, and then I used to ask myself, like, so much work here. You know, you realize you work so hard to acquire. Then one day you ask yourself, it's too much work even to manage this nonsense. The pool is turning green. Hey, my God, where's the pool man? The grass, you know, the weeds, they irritate you. Like a grass is nice, but like a weed comes. Then you ask yourself, see, this thing I started it last month. Why is it back again? At what point, you know, I realized that the more you have, the more it becomes so complex. You know, nowadays, let me tell you, something stupid. I go to my wardrobe. I ask myself, I understand why people just have blue t-shirts and jeans.
Those can only be guys.
Let me tell you, sometimes I wake up, I look at my clothes. Let me tell you, I wake up, I'm the floor. I'm telling you, me, I go sometimes in my drawer, I look at my drawer, I ask myself, I'm in bed. I'm thinking between now and 45 minutes, I need to be somewhere. I think I just wish I just put jeans, t-shirt, then one day I liberated myself. Nowadays, I don't care. If I go to my wardrobe, I see blue, I just put jeans,
It can only be a guy.
I simplified my life. I found it liberating. Because the morning, the decision was, what, do I wear blue? Do I wear black? Do I wear like this? Yeah. You see, I realized, then what happens? You go to your TV, your Netflix. You have not watched Netflix for 1 month. You go find so many things. You scroll, you watch a bit here, a bit here, a bit here. Then I used to remember those days you had TV in the house. TV would start at 4. And close at
5 to 11.
5-11.
Yeah,
But you used to watch everything. Nowadays you have Netflix. You can't even finish a movie.
Yes.
Abundance. We are living in a world of abundance.
So how do you operate? How have you been able to reconfigure your life? Me, I told you what happens. Me nowadays, let me tell you, I hear somebody telling me, I'm going to put a pool. I just laugh. I say, hey, okay, that's nice. Okay, endelea tu. Me, I want small.
Simplicity.
Having gone through that whole life cycle, to realize you don't need all those things. So how have you guys retooled your life in a society where there's so much?
I'll pull out the asset that you talked about earlier on, time.
Interesting.
Time changes all that. And it's the older you get, you realize, I remember there was a conversation I was having with a Gen Z.
Why are you laughing?
And why I'm laughing about
there seems to be quite a lot happening in his life there.
You know, he said Gen Z started laughing. You know, there are many Gen Z watching this show.
Yes, indeed. And the conversation then was around me. I don't understand how you guys end up having to go. You're looking for a house, you go take a mortgage and get a house. Me, I'm a global citizen. I want to live in London next month, and 6 months later, I want to live in Turkey and come back to Nairobi or go to Shags, whatever, without being tied down to this thing called a mortgage. And I'm like, okay, that's your own thoughts. You want to be a global citizen, do you? A few years later, I meet this same guy. Now he has a family. He has 2 kids. First go by, I said, how is it going? It has changed. Now I need stability for these people. We are thinking of getting a place now where we can be able to be stuck in one. No, at that stage when he was single, he had no idea about, a family comes with certain responsibilities and that require you as a man of the house to start now providing. And one of the biggest assets around that for family is stability. Stability of either what covers your Maslow's law in terms of housing and stuff like that. So it changes over time. And it's the same things now as you get older. Today when I look at my folks and I'm like, hey, Dad, you are wearing this. You have a set of 3 suits a week. And before you used to have all these other suits. Every day there was a different tie and everything. And now you end up having to get yourself into a stage where you're having 2-3 pieces of clothes that you enjoy to wear. It's over that time that you realize, I don't need much. And you end up becoming a minimalist because you've experienced all this abundance of access to entertainment through TVs. You have your Netflix, you have Mixcloud, you have 10 different subscriptions, and you realize I only have the same time. I only have my same 24 hours, and I'm not interested anymore with it because time continues to evolve into what it is that you're exposed to. So I think one of the things that Michael would like to probably bring out is that time changes your lens around how you should view life and what ideally you should associate yourself with. And the older you get, the more content you become with what you have without necessarily seeking out the many pleasures that are out there that are available to you, especially when you have a few coins in your pocket.
Interesting. When we were having breakfast, Flo told me, she always talks about, are we still noisy? No problem. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's fine.
What is it?
That is these characters.
The
I think
gardener.
it's a gardener with that key, lawnmower.
Oh, the lawnmower.
The
Oh, he's
lawnmower.
riding it
I
on
know
the
it's on Cabro, so it always happens exactly. It always happens. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's so late. It always happens. Even that's why I just casually say,
it's okay.
It always happens.
As we are sorting out that, there's another one around, I'll tell you a story around, there's this hospital, every Wednesday, in the ICU, on bed number 9, a patient would die.
But I hope you're recording this.
A patient will die.
Is this a story or a real
story?
In Kenya?
But also in
No, it was in Zimbabwe.
Okay.
So, they had to investigate. They had now, every time this patient on bed number 9, anyone who was on that bed on a Wednesday, they used to pass on.
Oxygen.
So when they really got to find out what the problem was, they realized that is when the cleaner used to come and do their deep cleaning.
And switch off.
The cleaner would use a socket of the life support system
to
to unplug that and plug in her cleaning machine and do her job and plug it back. The poor fellow is gone. So I'll tell you the
procedures.
but what's the
just to get you to people, we get into a circle of life where you are used to doing things in a certain way. Now, like that gardener who has just come in and passed through, so at every 10 o'clock, there's a certain way of doing things. But anyway, routine.
But and I went over breakfast. Interesting, you just say that comment, and I hope you've captured it. Over breakfast, Flo told me, Mike, I was not sure. This question about scarcity and abundance. Generally, I'm used to talking business stuff. I said, these are the conversations, these are the hard conversations. Because mentally, you realize you have to think. This is no longer, you have to engage your mind. And that's why I think we're here, to challenge ourselves. Because there's a comfort zone. You could have been in bed. Alex was telling me, my God, he was leaving a house at 7. People asking, where are you going on Saturday? We are going to spend the morning. You're going to realize the best investment you've ever done.
Yes.
Because you'd have been in bed.
Yes.
They've been drinking Melvin tea.
Yes.
Which we should have been serving.
Where but there's something called, there's a tea prosecco. Have you had?
No.
Last time we had it here.
Educators, yeah.
Yeah, so
tea prosecco.
Yeah, it's made it's put in a almost like it's actually Swedish or something.
Okay.
They put it in a sort of like a champagne
bottle, yeah.
It is distilled and it's tea that is sparkling tea. So anyway.
Wow.
So
next innovation coming shortly.
I tell you.
So at what point?
Best ideas are brought out here.
Where we could have been sleeping.
Where you could have been sleeping. So at what point have you realized, personal story, me I've told you about looking at a pool and I'm asking myself, like, what was this about? Looking at dogs, what are these dogs? What is it? Hey, this grass, like, I found, like, it's so much. You know those things? This car, these cars. What is this business? This one ujawasha, battery mekufa, unajiuliza hii kitu, why did I buy this thing? What was that turning point in your life for you to realize that maybe it's too much? Ama, you're not going there yet.
I don't think I've gotten there yet. However, no, for me, I think I'm what you'd call a process. I process a lot of things way before I do them, and even as I'm doing them. So I think, but generally, I would say life is in seasons. When we were young, we didn't care, no care to the world. I remember when I started Melvin's, it wasn't working. I'd get on a plane and go for 3 weeks. I didn't care what was happening.
Don't you miss those days?
Yes and no. Because first I had the energy to do it. that is slowly starting to deplete.
You had the flexibility?
I had the flexibility, but I also love where I am right now. You know, being a mother, being a parent, being an employee, being able to mentor and coach other people. I just love
an employer.
Employer. Yes, you know. So I love the season that I am in my life, but it's really about just taking things in their stride. And also, typically, like what you're saying, is to be able to know when to let go. You know, when you're saying, okay, fine, I've done the pool, I've done, I'm going to let go and I'm going to go into simplicity. And I think everybody that's the journey of life. And I think we need to embrace it as it is. So for me, it's nothing that, you know, comes as a surprise. Definitely, I've reached a stage where I'm more, I would say now I'm at, do they call it cocktail? I pick and choose what I'm doing. When I go to a buffet, I'll say today I'm doing fish and this. Whereas before it used to be, you know, when I'm a shopaholic, so now when I'm shopping, I say, okay, I just need 3 more pieces, 3 more blues, and 3 more reds.
Which you don't wear anyway.
It doesn't matter, but
you
it's
pass to the airport, you buy that sweater which you don't use.
You know,
you realize this bloody sweater, where did I buy it?
Yeah.
Well, let me just say it's moderating. It's reducing, but I think it's embracing seasons of life and just appreciating that they are there, and it is important to embrace them.
So do you believe you have to go through that pathway to later come back and realize? Can you skip that journey?
You can skip it if you don't value it. You know, a lot of it comes from your values, because you do get some people who have crazy wealth and they really don't have to go through all that. So I think it really depends on what were you chasing, what's important to you, what did you, where was your mindset as you were growing up. If you didn't come out, let's say if you're not brought up in a real poverty environment, there was sort of enough. Even if you made mad cash, you might even say, I need 2 cars, that's okay. You know, so I think it really depends on where you're coming from, what you appreciate, and later on, you know, what's important to you. So it's your foundation, it's what you've seen.
Got it. But maybe we can, Edward, for you, do you think at some point you need to lose it? You need to lose to appreciate, or you need to lose. You know, like for instance, imagine you live in a 6-bedroom house. You're told now things are tough. Then move into a 2-bedroom house. At that point, you realize this 6-bedroom, I had so much. I need to fit the 6-bed into a 2-bed. Then you realize so much you didn't need. It becomes irritating how much you're collected that you didn't need. Have you been in a situation where you've lost to appreciate that you didn't need it in the first place?
Yes, many times. And both in relationships and business.
Interesting, eh?
And the relationship, when you talk of breakups, is sometimes you tend to value somebody more when you lose them. Is when you appreciate the things that they were bringing into your life. And I want to talk a bit briefly before I finish on this. When you're talking of what sometimes can bring change. For me has been people. One of the things I've come to appreciate over the years is any problems you encounter. There's a high likelihood that somebody already encountered the same problem, even sometimes at a very bigger scale. So I remember, I'm in the renewable energy space, we do solar installations, and when we started off in 2010, it was a very difficult industry because products were very expensive. And in as much as we tried to appraise ourselves with technology, You'd sit in front of a client, present, but the prices were off the roof. So a lot of people could not afford. And for many years we made losses. And I was asking myself, did I choose the wrong industry? Even the people who bought, we ended up with a lot of debt issues, collection issues. So at one point I considered, I think I should go back to finance, probably open an audit firm and so on. Then one afternoon, a Chinese vendor comes to my office trying to sell me products. And he tells me, so he gives me the whole presentation about his factory, how many square foot, where they're based, and they're looking for new markets. So he found me at a very bad place. So I was telling him, this market is very tough. People don't have money. There's no spending power. Even if those who buy, they don't pay. And he was just a sales guy. And I remember him asking me, have you looked at Uganda? Because I remember one of the things I told him, again, Kenya has a cycle. Every 5 years, we get into election mood, everything stops. So, and we are heading to that season, so nothing will move. He gave me a very simple answer and said, have you looked around? Where can you do business when your environment is like this? And I sat there and I thought, why am I only looking at Nairobi? What stops me from going to a different country or a different region? This guy has flown all the way from China, and he's brave enough even to go to Nyamakema. He's going to try look for business, even areas where I don't have the courage to go to. So I realized most of the answers we are looking for are with people. So talking out, sharing, solves a lot of issues. Another similar incident I've had is one time we had done a government project, and I knew this is it. Now, once we are paid, I pay off all my debts, and happy days.
Hey.
Then the president suspends the procurement officers and the finance officers. And for a period of about 9 months, nothing is moving. No payments. We had finished, we had commissioned, had a bank loan. And you go there and they tell you, look, we can't do anything because the accounting officers have been suspended. You have to look for other ways. So I started not picking calls from the bank. I remember I went somewhere to have a drink because now I thought this might solve my problem. I might have some sanity for a few hours. And the gentleman I sat next to, I just gave him my story. I didn't even know him. He told me, have you gone to the bank to restructure? You can imagine I'm a finance guy. I've worked as a CFO. I had not thought of that. I had not thought of not waiting for the bank to come and knock doors. Go and approach them, sit them down, give them the scenario, and look at options. So the following day, and it took a lot of courage. In fact, sometimes I look back and I wonder, why did I worry so much? I went to the bank, talked to the manager, explained, and he was so casual about it. He said, yeah, we understand what is going on. Actually, these are the options we are giving our clients. And I realized that conversation with that gentleman is what saved the day, because they have probably auctioned my collaterals. So from then on, I'm very deliberate and intentional. Whenever I find challenges, look for people who have gone through that. Just hear their opinions and suggestions. Sometimes they may not work, but it helps. And more often than not, people have experienced these things and have different ideas on how to solve them. So that has...
So you see also, so it's interesting. So for you, your viewpoint is abundance is about sharing.
Correct.
And giving knowledge.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. And you know, it takes, you guys don't know, it takes a lot of convincing to have entrepreneurs in Africa come to even this show. You know, people think it's easy. There are some people who will naturally just say, I'm coming. They've reached that tipping point, say, whatever, naenda. But it takes a lot of convincing. And that is part of giving abundance. To realize my experiences are learning examples of, my experience can be examples to teach others. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And that also brings us to an interesting conversation. Politically, we don't talk about politics in this conversation, but do you think our politics are abundant or scarcity politics? When you look at politicians, when they go to the podium, do they preach scarcity? They preach abundance. Now looking, and somebody said, we used to get 700,000 shillings loan with no collateral. That was 2003, 2013. There's a lot of abundance mindset in the country.
Yeah.
Then there was 2013 to 2023. I don't know, there we were in the middle. We are not abundant, we're not sure where we are. Today, I'm not going to say where we are, but you guys can decide. Do you think currently our political ecosystem preaches abundance or scarcity? And it affects your business because you build a business in a regulatory ecosystem. So some of the policies that are made,
it's also economic, you mean?
Yeah. And you've been chair of CAM, you understand? Some of the decisions you're pushing, you realize this is an abundant decision I need to make. I need to push. But then the policy holders are not abundance mindset. What do you think? Where do you think we are today as a society?
Well, we're trying to I'm not sure about the political side. I would say more the economic side of it. I tend to find we approach it very much from a scarcity mentality. So like for example, if I want to push consumption in an economy, what do? I put more money in people's pockets. And you saw that happening during COVID when they tried to start, is it Linda? Anyway, the older people started getting money. You try and reduce your taxes so that people have more spending power. And as they have more spending power, the economy is moving. Regulatory overreach, you also want to reduce that so that people, it's not in a careless manner, but you want to actually support businesses, giving people investment breaks so that you attract people to come and do business. So all these are policies that are supposed to now help business. But what's happening today is we have a lot of overarching regulation. It's more about more taxation, which means we have less spending power, less money going around the economy. So these are things that are typically not helping us build an abundance, great economy. Because again, and India, there was an example actually that India had done. I can't remember if it was Modi or who it was. What he did is he actually brought down VAT or corporate tax really low, meaning people could spend more, and it spurred the economy. And what happened? The government actually earned more in taxes. So these are, I think, in here, one of the things we tend to lack is we tend to have a trust deficit as well, because of course being in CAM and KEPSA, we used to push a lot around how to spur an economy and how to make things done. And I remember one time sitting and the ministers telling us, but we are not sure that the investment tax breaks we're going to give you are going to support us or not. And they would always fall back and talk to us about Goldenberg, how it went very wrong. Fine, the idea was correct. Why can't we learn from that, de-risk and mitigate what went wrong there, but still do it again? But you can't keep defaulting to an error of a good idea that just didn't go right. So trust deficit is also something that we tend to lack. And like I'm saying, I can't speak to the politics, but around economics, there's a lot that can happen, that needs to happen if you want to genuinely grow an economy. Okay, at least we are pushing our infrastructure. That's also another area that really, really helps. The knowledge economy, are we doing enough to really then get people to actually think and keep an economy moving? Those are areas that debatable. But yeah, those are a couple of my thoughts.
But I see you've sort of fenced yourself outside the political, but I'm going to push Mr. Alex. Alex, you have 3,000 employees. I tell you a story. One day, KRA put a freeze on my account. So I went to KRA. You know how you go, basement. The guy who had frozen my account was on first floor. So I asked him, Baba, why are you doing this? You frozen my account, the employees. Why don't we get into you've written to my customers?
Mediation.
So it's a scorched earth policy. I said, why are you doing this? I get on me sijali, mi nataka tu pe.
Niko na targets.
I looked at him. I remember, no, he's since died. Interesting character. Before I fought with him there. I told my friend, you know.
Hope you didn't kill him.
Didn't kill, please. God just took him, I guess. I told him, why are you doing this? No, I was young. I remember I was 30. It pained me because, you know, your account is frozen. You can't pay. You can't service your customers. So the same money they're freezing you, you can't bill. Is that correct? So it's let it die, let it. And I remember driving back to the office and thinking, my God, why are human beings like this? Like, can they see I'm employing people? Can they understand? Then I realized, my God, you're alone. So you today employing 3,000 people, do you sometimes feel that the policy, people who create policies are very selfish?
I agree with you, Mike, and I think everybody has a story around scary.
But I'm okay. We pay taxes. I also realize
there's a story always around that.
And by the way, you don't have to.
And the way you just described it, I was just like, Connie, I was also in that same office on the first floor that I went to.
You know that same office?
It's the same thing. I mean, you know, and the question I always pose to them, do you run your own business to understand the effect of the decision that you're making, either from policy or from implementing the policies that you already placed in effect, isn't it? And for me, one of the things in our people business that affects us heavily is that one of minimum wage. From the top, it means well that you're attempting to put money in the pocket of those that are low income earners.
George Floyd said, put more money.
Right? But then that decision, you forget the person who is the payer of those services. In this case, a client who probably has been heavily taxed and they're in that state where they've been told, reduce your expenses. Now, a cleaning service provider comes and tells you, I want to increase a few coins because I've been told by the government to increase my wages. And the guy says, now you're too expensive. And because we're in an unregulated industry, I will move to another guy who doesn't care about paying his staff wages the same way that me, and still give me the same service. And you, with your 3,000 guys, sort yourselves out. So, ultimately, we end up losing staff for the same government that is attempting to create employment and put money into the pockets of those that are low-income earners. Now, it's a dead situation. I mean, there is no win-win. It's a lose-lose. And we've had, every time I shudder to hear the May 1st announcement around Labor Day. Because I am certain, whenever it happens, there is jobs that are going to be lost. Because there are clients who, a constituent of them, at least 10% will say, I can't hack these increases, so we're leaving. And we terminate the contract and we lose staff. Now, it pains me because those are people, those are livelihoods that now have been taken back. And remember, they're supporting 7, 8 other households.
Yes.
So the effect becomes even more dire in that state. Then there's the same thing around now the KRAs of this world, where you find yourself in a situation where you are owed for services provided. You have not refused to pay taxes, but you find yourself in that state. Now, I'm stuck with a client who has not been able to pay because they are owed by other parties. But now you are required to pay. And then now you get yourself in those kind of situations where now your accounts are frozen. And as I said, there are many stories around every entrepreneur's journey around asking yourself, at what point do I quit? Because here, I'm being hit by each and every quarter, and I'm expected to still run that business like nothing is happening. And I think that's where the founder's dream has to be really built on thick skin, to be able to sustain yourself in an environment where everybody looks at your business as a mistake that should not have ever started. Oh. And I guess that's what gives us the grit, the resilience to be able to build things, because you've been through so much. You've been through, I mean, I love the name of this particular FoundersBattlefield. In a battlefield every season. You're fighting something. Yeah. And I'm sure even tomorrow, probably there will be, come Monday, there will be something else that you're dealing with that is new. But we keep pressing on. And I think it's important that we all get to that realization that each one of us has gone through that season of real hardship, either through the regulator or through policies and decisions that are made that do affect us. Today, I'm dealing with a policy decision that is out of our own political circle, and a decision that was made by the US president that is affecting me because I have a number of clients where I was serving in the NGOs who are being funded by the US government.
And that must have affected you.
Yes. I mean, the bulk of the NGOs in Kenya and in Uganda, we serve them. And now they had to cut short their programs. And with it, you're told also, you guys, we don't have offices to clean, so go home.
Adios.
Hey, wow. As an entrepreneur, and Edward, as an entrepreneur, I feel you have to be the biggest reservoir of abundance as a founder, entrepreneur. Because everybody else around you wants to grab, right? So you have to be the only one constantly thinking, how do I move forward? Because everybody wants to shikanisha where you are. So how have you managed to navigate, knowing very well you wake up in the morning, knowing very well today, if I sleep, I'm dead. If I don't wake up from here, somebody's going to get me and run with it. What keeps you moving constantly on a day-to-day basis to be able to wake up and say, today I have to be the guy who gives the energy to the ecosystem? Because you have to constantly. And then how do you get that energy back? Because you see, you're giving. How do you get it back? It's a return conversation. Because constantly you're giving. Flora, you're constantly giving. Yeah. Some people say it's family, but I don't want to preempt your answer. How do you refuel yourself?
The way I look at it is first understanding the different aspects of the business. So there's a strategy, there is the operations. There are so many things that form that ecosystem. And interesting enough, I learned the difference of the two from Flo, from a program we did together. And I remember she asked a question, do you know the difference between working in the business and working on the business?
Oh. You and Flo met already in the Stanford program.
Correct.
Yes, we did, yeah.
And that sort of changed my perception on how to run business. Because when you're in the business, you feel drained because everything stops with you. But when you work on the business and create systems, you sort of cushion yourself from having to make a decision on every aspect of the business. I mean, today we are talking of there's competition. You have to think of marketing. You have to think of hiring people. You have to think of KRA. You have to think of the political environment. If you put yourself that you are the only one having to deal with all those matters, you collapse. So deliberately creating systems saying, okay, I'm going to build a marketing team. I only become part of that team to give them ideas, and collectively we come up with a system, let it work, and we constantly keep upgrading it and put people there and give them responsibilities. So my evaluation matrix is to look at what we set as the targets and what they're achieving and improve where we are failing. I have found that giving me more free time and also creating time for myself to think. It is, and I tell you, despite even the best having done all the business model canvas and all, you still find situations where all the hard stuff, all the things that have no answers will still end up in your table. But the advantage of having a system and people and responsibilities is at least some of the minor things can be filtered. So you're having to deal with a fewer, bigger issues than having to deal with everything in the business ending up on your table. So that for me has worked. I also wanted to mention a bit, there's a question you asked about politics. My view is our electioneering process has sort of put us in a fix. It is very expensive. So what you find is for you to become, for example, the president or a certain position in the country, you have to spend a lot of money.
It's a business.
It's a business. And this money, you end up fundraising from well-wishers, business people, and so on. Because of the amount of investment required in acquiring these positions, the moment you get to office, the cost of paying back that money is costing us the opportunity to make long-term decisions. Because immediately I get to office, I need to pay back favors of the people who got me here. So even us who are funding people looking for positions, we are very selfish. Instead of funding them and saying, look, we got you here and we want you to fix the following problems. We want to fix the education system. We want you to fix our infrastructure. We want you to fix, for example, our power problems. The problem we are doing is, the moment I get somebody in, immediately I want a tender, the moment he gets into the office. So our leaders are caught up in that fight of the short-term favors done at the expense of making long-term decisions. So what we found out in the last, if I look at, for example, there's a season where we sort of almost got it right and started having the visions and long-term plans of what started changing the country. The form of government now we got into became very expensive, that we started creating projects to return favors to the people who funded these campaigns. And this has costed us our vision on long-term plans that can change us. I don't know how we are going to solve that because I think we are caught up. If you look at today we are 2 years to the elections, or maybe 1.5 years. And already you can see the cost of trying to acquire positions. People are already starting to spend money. I mean, we have people going around the country, and it's very expensive. Some of these people you see, they are not working, they've left their businesses, they are on the road every day. Somebody is funding that money. And the moment they get into positions, whoever is funding wants their money back. And by the time they get the money back, they start preparing for the next one. So you are just caught up in that spiral of short-term return to a few people. How we break that is something for discussion, because it has ended us that if you look at our announcement of KCPE or KCSE, I don't know how they are calling them now, the CBC, we have 1 million students entering the job market every year. The last statistic I saw is that we are creating 60,000 jobs. So you can imagine 1 million people coming to the job market, and there's 60,000 jobs created. So there's a whole 900,000 people who are just entering a void with nothing to do. And hence you're seeing, for example, all these Gen Z movements, agitation, because of hopelessness. And unless we break that cycle of asking ourselves, how do we move from creating 60,000 jobs to 1 million jobs? This problem will always keep recurring. And KRA is going to get more vicious, because they are trying to collect money from a very few people to sustain the whole economy, plus all the losses and leakages that we have. So it's going to get worse. And the only way to solve this, we have to ask ourselves, how do we break this cycle of short-term gains at the expense of long-term solutions for the country? You talked about jobs. The other day, I met some Turkish guys. Okay, it's an interesting story. So maybe 12 years ago, I went to Turkey. I went to Turkey to meet this guy. He's an employee.
of a certain company, and he was maybe the sales manager, and I was meeting his boss. The other day he came to town. Told me, hey, I'm in town. I said, hey, what's happening? Hey. Told me, oh, I went to meet him. Told me, oh, the last 15 years, I left my employment. I built this solution. The government of Turkey took it. Now I supply it to the military of the US military. So he's actually certified to sell the same solution to the US. And I'm here because I'm about to do a similar project in Kenya. And I looked at him 13 years ago. This guy has managed to build IP, has become global, but because his country gave him an opportunity to build on top of it. Somebody talked earlier about Israel. Why Israel is ahead, they also look at themselves as creators, as innovators, and they use themselves as platforms to create knowledge and to create value. So I look at Turkey today, some of our ferries in Mombasa are Turkish ferries, you're aware. So when I go to companies sometimes, I'm pitching an idea, especially technology, especially as we are the worst, and you're talking to this company, you go to Safaricom or you saw some of these companies, and you're telling them, we can do this for you here. Or government. And the government says, no, I'd rather just take a plane, I go and broker a deal, the company may be in Slovakia or whatever. What do you think? What do you think goes through our mind in terms of wealth creation? Is a scarcity mindset that I'm going to make you rich? Is it so embedded that I cannot want to see you succeed? What is the problem? Why is it we're not able to look at ourselves as value creators? I help Flo succeed. In her success, she becomes a global person. In her success, I want Kenya becomes a better place. So if you look at our athletes, the only sport we do well is why you are so low.
Individual.
No, rugby.
So what do you think happened? Why? So rugby is the only one where we've sort of managed. What do you think? Why are we so
women
individual?
volleyball, I think we won something. It's coming up.
Tell me. So what will it take for us to start realizing we are the people who are going to create wealth for ourselves?
Well, okay, my view, I think we came from an abundance mentality. I mean, remember in Shags, everything was sort of communal, children bringing up, everything.
Yeah, they say child is for the village.
Yes, and it was almost everything. If you didn't have food, you just go to the neighbor, etc. And I think then when we were colonized, then we started this one-man show thing. I mean, you go to school from standard, but from standard 1, you're being told your position 33 or 45. And so competition then begins. Fast forward to now, your question around, I've lost my train of thought.
It's okay. Your question around wealth creation, are we creating?
Yes,
are we able to create wealth creators?
Yes.
Keyword, are we able to create wealth creators?
Yes. I believe we do. We have a lot of technology, and I'm sure you know the space better than any of us. But do we trust ourselves, and do we go to finality? And I'll give you an example. When what were they called? ERPs, when they first came out. I tried 3 times to get somebody to deliver for me an ERP in Kenya. And the first one came and they said, we can build it for you. And before I knew it, the guy's leaving the country, and he brought me his best staff member, and she took over. And it was always like substandard.
Yeah.
I also think we do not hold ourselves as African, let's say as Kenyans, to a high level of
accountability.
Yeah, accountability. Look at the Gen Z today. Now they are a tribe that are very proud of who they are. They're happier wearing Made in Kenya. They're out there promoting each other. They're supporting each other. So for us, we must have some historical. But me, I'm telling you, I've been injured enough. Till these days, I just say, give me run on the mill, give me off the shelf, and then let's talk about customizing that. But for me, it's because I tend to find, because I know you, Mike, I'll start saying, it's okay, this one is okay. It's not okay. We do not drive ourselves to a level of excellence. And that is one thing I'll say is one of the biggest problems that we have. Why? Because we are good at talking at each other. Nani, just talk to Mike, just tell him itakuja. Especially in development and in technology and whatever. We are always $1 short. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I think the entrepreneurship, a lot of entrepreneurs here in our country, and especially in Africa, we're very mediocre.
Yes.
we hitting ourselves
and
too much?
expect people to buy our products and services because I know you. It's okay. I mean, a lot of businesses are relationship based, but people tend to assume or expect that you owe them a favor, and forgetting that you're not in competition with a local entity. You're in competition with a global.
Yeah.
So if I'm expected to deliver a service as a cleaning company in Kenya or in East Africa, I should be delivering that with an excellence mindset that's globally acceptable. And as long as we don't get ourselves to raise our standard of doing a business with excellence, then you as an entrepreneur, you're owed no favors, and you have no right, you have no moral right to be able to now start saying, I want to sit at the table and still deliver the kind of services that you're giving. And I think one of the things that we need to get ourselves into is to step out and celebrate brands that ideally are stepping out in that global sense, telling those stories more, and being able to deliver the expectation of what it is that you should be able to match yourself to a global standard, as opposed to just thinking of it as a small thing. I mean, it starts first of all with the mindset, and it's since we're in the conventional scarcity mindset. When you ask a lot of people, what business do you do? And you say, I run a small business over here.
Just start there.
Mimi nasafishenga tu mikeka hivi. That time we are employing 3,000. How would I be the guy saying that I'm nasafisha to mikeka? It's how we already belittle ourselves. Oh, I run a small ICT farm. This guy probably is doing ERPs worth billions. Yet we speak little about ourselves. So what happens? The person next to you, who probably is thinking of setting up a huge ERP system, will be like, let me deal with SAP. In any case, Mike runs a small kabiashara. So I'll view you as a small kabiashara, and I'll belittle you the way you've called yourself. So whatever you speak of, people will consider it to be that way. Then I'll go and deal with an SAP, which probably, and your product is probably a more superior product than those global companies. That you lose out on that opportunity to be able to play out. The second one is our inability to be able to believe in our own products and service. Where you think, let me stay on the safe side. I am comfortable being in Nairobi. I don't want to fare out further beyond borders because I don't know whether it will be accepted. So the fear of being able to believe in your own product. And people see that in you. If I cannot be able to, if I'm a shoemaker and I can't wear my own pair of shoes and believe that I'm in the fashion space and I'm wearing other designers, no one will believe in your product. Yeah. If I have built a local vehicle, manufactured, built in Kenya, for Kenya, why are we having police cars being driven with other brands? We should have a Kenyan vehicle that is being driven. And that's why you find a lot of these emerging giants in China, in India, everything is local. We went to Vietnam the other day, you find everything. There is no name or big name from out there. Be it their vehicles, be it their equipments, be it their hotel, everything is locally inbred. But what led them to that is because they had been closed and shut off from the rest of the world. They only knew how to build within.
Like South Africa, for instance.
Exactly.
But it's an intentional conversation, because even look at Korea with was it Samsung, where they just said, okay,
they were deliberate.
Yeah, they were deliberate. So we'll back technology, and they gave them the break that you're saying. So maybe for us here, we need to come and say, and we've been pushing for this in industry for the longest time, where we're saying, just pick 1 or 2 areas and just come and back it and say, we are going to perfect this. And the minute you have believability in one sector, now, Korea, I think, are huge in the appliance space and technology space because of these breaks that the government, so it does need to be intentional. But just picking up on what Alex said, sometimes a pastor is not worshipped in his own town.
Yeah.
So if you're not finding you have acceptance in your own country, maybe go and try and do it for another government in another country. And then once it succeeds there, then you can come back here. Yes, you're going to be a foreigner in that, but like he's saying, and we're all saying, we should be now building global brands. And let me tell you an African country that does this with a lot of pride, Nigeria. Nigeria, from their fashion to their food to their music to their Nollywood to their whatever, they have taken it to another level. And yet we know the divide between the haves and the have-nots. It's huge. But they have then said, I am not actually operating on a Nigeria stage. I'm actually operating on a global stage. And then until we hold ourselves in a country like this to that level, we will never. And I told you I coach and mentor a lot of entrepreneurs. Honestly, the substandard and it's okay is too much. Somebody will send you a packaging. This is my new product and etc. Labeling is back to front. Why do you think? Why should I? I'm sorry, I can go and buy the Chinese-made one that is so fine. So at the end of the day, put yourself to a high standard and we will support. Because if there is nothing, like I'm telling you, these Gen Zs believe in is buy Kenya, build Kenya. They believe so much in this African local spirit, and they're the mass market right now. So if you're not serving them, who are you serving?
I wanted to add something there on the excellence. One of the causes, and we made it fashion here in Kenya, is this thing of side hustle. Everybody is running multiple businesses and running them mediocre. And then we have this disease of starting one business, just when it's starting to stand on its own 2 legs, diverting that money to start something else. So we lack specialization. I did a trip to South Africa in April this year, and I visited a solar company. They only do maintenance of solar systems. And I remember the guy asking me, we've always thought of coming to Kenya, so what is your cost per panel of cleaning? And I looked at, I've never thought of it that way. Why? Because even in the solar space, we are doing everything. I'm doing right from residential to commercial to cleaning to maintenance to procurement to materials. And one of the things I saw, these guys have automated their process. They capture every metric of doing that business. They know where their costs are. They know how long it takes to do a certain job. So when they get the big solar farms, they can accurately tell you, this is a 100 megawatt farm, we clean it in 6 days, and the cost per man is the following. And these are the kind of jobs I need to do in a year to break even. You can see the level of detail.
Specialization.
They've also studied the market, looked at the best efficient tools, what the kind of water they're going to use, all those things. When I inflect back to what we are doing, we never even reach that level because you're busy doing everything. And that's why today, if there's a big project in Kenya and I bid and that guy bids, I have no chance. But it's not that I cannot do it. It's just the discipline and the focus to say, this is what I want to do and I want to become the best in it and that I can compete globally. Because when you go to those companies, you find some of the employees, even their best strategies are Kenyans. So it's not about skill, it's not about experience, it's just about focus.
Mindset.
And mindset.
Go back to mindset.
And making the decision that this is what I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it and I become the best in it. I don't know how we shift ourselves. I myself even struggle with that. Because I will do the business, I see it's growing, then I see somebody else is doing this, and I'm very tempted to, I hear now, people are making money, people are buying apartments, And now suddenly I'm studying. I'm finding myself on YouTube watching.
Yet the economies of scale, by widening your market,
Correct.
would actually bring your cost down.
Exactly.
But again, we also need to, unfortunately, we don't have a huge market, Kenya as alone. But we need to start looking at Africa, the whole Africa continental. Once you widen your market, you'll definitely be able to deliver more.
True. But interesting, so you run organizations, so you expect excellence. And I'm here, I've just looked at this interesting book that, first one, I'm honored to receive the first book, Flo.
Thank you.
You see this book here?
Brewed to last.
Brew to last. Brew. It's very interesting.
That's what I do, I brew.
And I have checked, you've said, this book is dedicated to my parents for lighting the entrepreneurial spark in me. Most of us, when you start businesses, your whole ecosystem tells you it's a bad idea. So I'm quite fascinated to see that your parents encouraged you.
Well,
even to start a business.
It was a fight.
Me too.
Mine was a fight. It wasn't as easy as him.
Yours was a fight?
Thoroughly. Because I stepped out of college, and then my brother they started a business together. And when I said, I want to start a business, being told, what's that? Why? No. Ladies get married, you stay in your job. So I started my CPAs, actually. I started my CPAs, and it was James McPhee. About 9 months watching me, he just said, come here. Who's paying your fees? I was like, So then he said, you're not committed, and I can see it. Because honestly, I just used to try and pass. It was bare minimum. In the office, if I even got called for a date, I would even just leave. I had no commitment in what I was doing at all.
2020.
Let's get out of here. So in about 9 months is when I had the guts to just come home and say, I've quit and I'm going to start a business. So we didn't speak for 3 weeks. They told me, get out of the home. This is not what we brought you up to do, etc., etc. I guess they were in that fearful mindset of women don't do business. They're not respected in the business. Especially my father. He was like, no, you will not get married. You will not settle. You'll not, this is not how we brought you up. So then after 3 weeks, my mother, a serial entrepreneur, is the one now who came and said, okay, what exactly do you want? And then I didn't know, because I had never actually allowed my mind to go that way. So that's when I then made the mistake of going to salt, it didn't work, and went into tea. So, but they quickly came back. Okay, my father came back after a year, he apologized, became my greatest supporter, and the rest is history. They're both entrepreneurs. Oh, my dad is long gone, but very, very supportive after that. When I want to buy a car, he would even be the one to take me, let's go choose the pickup, and etc., etc. So it was not simple, but they explained where they were coming from. It was cultural.
And you're going to sign for me this book.
I will definitely sign for you that book.
I have it, and I've seen the chapters are clarity of purpose. I'm a very big believer of clarity of thought.
Yes, yes.
Clarity of thought.
And here what I mean is your purpose. I think there was a question you asked him about resilience. How do you remain resilient? I have a very simple framework that I call the PAL resilience. One, you have to be very clear what you're doing and why you're doing it. Otherwise, when things happen, and they will, you need to stand there. I mean, I remember after 4 years being in my business, I was robbed every single thing. Everything, except heavy equipment. Everything. And that particular day, we had a huge influx of tea, and tea is not cheap, etc., etc. And, but I pulled through. I cried that day, and I moved on. And we went back. I was underinsured. I didn't know there was something like that, so I was not paid by my insurance as such. I mean, it was a whole mess, but you have to be very clear. Secondly, is I say, PAL, P-E, you have to know what are your energy vampires and energy givers. Stuff like, for me, too much detail is not me. I'm more the visionary. I want to cast. So I surround myself with those kind of people. So you have to be very clear in business what you're good at, what you're not. I think the other one is agility. You cannot run a business if you're rigid. It's not going to happen. Yeah. And the other one is relationships. I say you all must have a personal board of directors. And we do. You have a person you call and just say, I don't want to think, let's just go. And you go wherever they are going, and you have a good time, and you come back. Then you have those ones who help you focus. And the last one is laugh. You must learn to laugh. Just laugh when things, because in business we are going to goof, and you goof, and you do. Yeah. But you have to forgive yourself, otherwise you'll die.
Yeah, you have to have forgiveness.
Yeah,
which is why even the spiritual layer comes in.
Yeah.
You have to have forgiveness.
Yeah, forgive yourself first.
Even forgive other people who have wronged you.
Yes. So that's why
a big portion of it, actually, for any successful business is about
you have to forgive. I'm telling you.
If
you carry that grief, that's what also brings scarcity. Because you can also be rich but poor.
Yes.
You know,
Poor in
wealthy
relationships, poor in
people,
whatever.
but I find they're poor. Have you ever met somebody who is wealthy but they're poor?
Yeah.
And you sit there, you ask, hey, you mean wealth? Wealth is wealth, but wealth can also, you could create wealth, physical wealth, but internally you're poor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, when I look at where we are, especially the rent seeking, because there's a lot of rent seeking in our ecosystem today. If the wealth creators in the country today are rent seekers, because I don't think we celebrate entrepreneurs. Do we? We don't celebrate entrepreneurs.
Maybe not.
We celebrate rent seekers. So a typical rent seeking guy is one who is on social media. You know that one is rent seeking fully. But you, so even Alex, I'm sure today when I listen to your breakfast, you say 3,000. You know, you always, as my business grew, you use Alex as our
You're the benchmark now.
as our cleaning company.
Yes. Okay.
And you know, there's something. You know, when you go to the washroom, when I know there's seriousness in an organization, is when I see behind the door there's a checklist. 9, 8, 10, 12, 2, 4.
And then the supervisor.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Other than there's a seriousness in this company. You look well.
Yeah, you're clearly.
And the other day, one day I was seated. I remember where was I in Prague? You know, at a great balcony. I'd gone into a hotel, and in 4 seasons they had given me a nice. Those days you're lucky, you just give a nice room. And the person came to clean, and I observed how they cleaned. They cleaned that room in 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So it got me wondering, what does it take to create a regiment of people in a hotel to know? Then I realized they have a checklist. Water, fridge, washroom, tissue, pillow, nini. So you imagine, today we are here where we are. Definitely we're going to walk out, you're going to see the cabro works here, very nice. But the moment you leave this gate, there'll be a pothole. So how do you inspire? You talked about mediocrity. If outside our lives, when you walk on the street, you can even fall into a pit. How do you get employees who work in that ecosystem? When they come to your company, you expect them to have that level of excellence. When around us, there's so much chaos. What do you need to do? Because remember, the guy is operating chaos. Even his house, there was brown water. They come to your company, you tell them, now guys, focus. How do you align human beings who in their natural ecosystem there's so much chaos, but you expect them when they come to your company to conform?
I think it starts first and foremost from the hiring process, which ties into your values as a company. And in the Parapet instance, we hire for attitude. It doesn't matter the number of qualifications, be it in school, whatever, that you have, is about attitude. Because you're able to shape the mind of that individual to be able to live out to the standards that you've set for yourself. I mean, I look at our primary school kids. Today, a primary school kid, when you go to their classroom, they respond almost like a pre-recorded message. Good morning, class. Good morning, teacher. How are you? And how are you? It's a teaching process. Now, the second investment comes from training your teams in understanding how you. And oftentimes, entrepreneurs make the big mistake, which is a scarcity mentality of not training someone because they'll think, I'll train this guy will leave. And I've invested so much money on him. Without realizing this is an asset you're building, of somebody understanding what you expect of them and what is expected in them to be able to be that steward of excellence. And when they are settled in, it makes their work easier because the next part plays out in the form of dignity. Dignity of the job that you're conducting. You are not just cleaning a toilet. You are creating a healthy, hygienic environment for that client that you're serving. When the guy understands that, it's a different conversation. That the task that I'm undertaking right now, I can either create a health pandemic or create a healthy environment in that space. Now, and a guy does and understands that and is not thinking about it as, hey, this guy, I'm just cleaning this toilet so I can get some money at the end of the day. That's a different conversation. Now, that's then the third part comes ownership. I cannot be there in every space 24/7 because we clean facilities 24/7. You make the guy understand. When you ask them, who is the CEO? They're like, I am the CEO of this space that I'm serving. And for Flo, in your factory manager is responsible of understanding that they're the CEO in that space. Yeah?
For everybody, yeah.
So that empowerment, which comes at a risk because there is a source of abundance from a CEO's point of view, but also comes as a risk where you've really entrusted people to run your client sites without you having to keep an eye every second, that you are believing that today my 3,000 staff have turned up in their respective stations and they're giving us service. I believe in that. Without necessarily having to call, hey,
But you must have systems.
Exactly. So I think those areas where now you deliver the point of dignity, training and understanding, and then empowering is one of the things that probably delivers and makes people build that excellence muscle. In understanding that the work that I am doing is also beyond myself. It's not just about the salary I'm coming to earn here today. Because as long as you treat somebody thinking that, oh, I hired you just to be paid a salary, then they will give you exactly that. And that's where they give you the bare minimum, based on what he or she thinks that I am worth. If you fail to communicate as the owner of the business, the why you are doing this particular job, then of course everyone will tend to just move their needle towards this is just for pay, and the entrepreneur will look at it, this is just for my income, and not deliver on the bigger why we are doing this particular.
So you think about it. So you are in a cleaning business, even as okay.
Sorry to cut you.
Sure, no problem.
And resonated exactly with what you're asking. Is like a clip that goes around, and Simon Sinek is talking about exactly that, where he says there's a certain hotel he goes to, I think 4 Seasons somewhere, and including the cleaner and the butler, they are very cheerful. They remember his name. They carry his luggage. He goes to the reception. They even know the room that he likes to check in. So one day he checked. So when he traveled the same city, he found that hotel is fully booked. So he had to go to a different hotel. And one of the staff, who was a butler, was doing 2 part-time jobs. So one time he's in this hotel that is very cheerful, very vibrant, and part-time he works in another hotel where now he checked in. And the culture there is keep your head low, don't outshine your boss. So the guy was there, collected his luggage, didn't even look like he knows him, put his bag at the reception and left him to check in. So he called him back and said, aren't you the guy who works at the 4 Seasons? He says, yes. But he says, here it's different. You're not supposed to talk to clients. You're supposed to keep your head low. Don't outshine the manager. So he says, despite the environment, you can create a culture within the organization that thrives. So now, coming back to my business, I remember one time we lost staff. So we paid salaries, and the following day the guy didn't show up. And I asked the HR, what happened? He says, I think this guy was just waiting for the payroll to take off. I think he had gotten another job. And I was like, why didn't he just come and say, I have another job? So I realized I need to change that. I need to talk to people. They don't need to see me as just their boss. Sometimes I can give good advice. And I have seen that change over time. But there has been a deliberate effort to change the culture. So recently one of my managers came and said, look, I have gotten this offer somewhere. What do you think? And we discussed it and we thought, I think this is a career move. And we did a party for him. I realized, despite what is happening around us, you can create your own environment and start to change people's perceptions. Because most of the time, this is perceptions to what we think it should be.
Interesting. And
I think another person who does a good job is tour and travel. So when they want to start promoting Dubai, they will come to the tour agencies and take the staff and go and help get them experience it. So if you get people to experience what you're trying to deliver, of course, 3,000 would be totally
and a lot.
But I think if you sort of did it manager-wise, and it could be just walking them through your levels of excellence, crossbreeding, like we do that. We have a poor salesperson, a weak salesperson, sometimes you get somebody, put accounts in sales and put sales in accounts so that they actually feel each other's problems.
Cross-pollination.
Yeah, so those are other areas, so people can experience, and especially Gen Zs are very experiential.
So, what we tend to do is, at some point in this conversation, we tend to do some self-reflection. And as you said, you want to be accountable. So the next 10, 15 minutes, it's about accountability. You see, and I know I always throw people under the bus here because it's making you accountable to an audience. Okay? Sometimes, as you said, you need people to police you. And since you've walked this journey and you've been here, it means you have a higher calling. So I want us to self-reflect around what commitments you're going to make in the next 10 years, beyond yourself, but to country. Okay? Beyond yourself to country. Because we can't sit here and complain leadership. We can't sit here and complain politicians did. We can't sit here and complain. We are in that tip. You guys, I think we're all almost to hapo. What is our responsibility to country? And bring in an abundance mindset. What are you going to do? Beyond your business, beyond your family.
For me, I've already begun the journey.
First of all, this is already...
I've already begun the journey. And like I said, it came from just fatigue, 28 years doing the same thing. So I've put in management. My vision for Melvin's is nowhere near where I want it to be. I started it, when I looked at the figures, 97% of Kenyan tea used to go out in bulk.
And by the way, your name comes out, every time talking about Flora Mutahi, they say Flo. So you're really trailblazing. So you have to stay there.
I have to stay there. So over time, my vision has been to see value-added tea, Kenyan, sitting on shelves globally. So we're on the journey, but it's still a long way. So that's still going to continue. But what I've personally done is taken what I do best, which is I'm an entrepreneur. I've started to share my knowledge, and I want to see us changing the African narrative. That is one thing I'm committing to, down to an extent. I'm not sure I don't want to put it in, well, why not? I'm thinking actually even an entrepreneurial school, and then start changing policies in this country, and perhaps even on the continent, where we teach entrepreneurship to the young and also in colleges. Americans do this very well. In an American degree, you don't call your degree majority of the time until after 2 years. And what they get you to do in that time, you're doing psychology, philosophy, accounting, entrepreneurship, business, whatever. So when a doctor steps out to be a doctor, they have that foundation. Now here, unfortunately, and it's very European, which is perhaps where we got our education system, you tend to find professionals very poor business people because we are never taught. It's never an elective, so you tend to find professionals unable to do what we all do. Everybody's running an enterprise. Whether I'm a doctor, whether I'm a nurse, whether I'm even doing a social enterprise, it has a whatever. So for me, that's what I want to do. That's my next runway, and I've begun.
But also, you also need to. Where have you thought of public service?
Like you noticed, I'm not great at politics. I don't know how to skate around those corridors. So a little difficult for me. But hey, who knows?
So you don't. If you're appointed tomorrow as CS of Trade,
I'm not sure.
You'd not take the job?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. Navigating politics.
I think you'll get to CS. Just share fact. You said you're not sure.
No, I don't.
Somebody one day, somebody's going to watch this show and say, you see this lady?
You know?
What is she talking about? We'll get us to BCS. Then what happens?
No, navigating those corridors of politics is tough because a lot of them have been my friends, obviously, because of the roles I have played. And you can see that the intention is great. We are just about to get there, and then politics checks in. So you need people who like or enjoy that political space to be able to navigate. I'm a great collaborator. I'm a great, I can push my agendas, but politics, wow. So that one I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Alex.
I'm not a politician.
You are. To employ 3,000 people, you have to be. You have to be a bit of a politician.
Well, I think, Mike, it's on two parts. I think for me, public service can be through my community engagement. And community engagement for me is through the service organization called Rotary, where you can still be able to impact communities that are in need, influence individuals or change makers to be able to do more and be more. And for me, that Rotary leadership circle of helping create more members, more people of action in various cities and towns, not just in Kenya, but across. I currently serve as a membership engagement in growing Rotary in East and Southern Africa. And it's a commitment that I have put my full energy in being able to say, look, if I am already feeling the change that I want to see, and I am being the change that I want to see around the world, as Alex, doing so much, what if I create 10, 100, 200, 1,000 different Alexes to be able to really impact communities around them? And also live by certain values. We have a certain set of values, which is of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Now, that set of values, be it as a business professional or as a change maker in your community, really resonates well with how that community looks at you as a business person or as a professional, and looks at you in terms of the service that you're conducting, not just for your own business, but for others. And I think that for me is one of my key convictions around where I want to impact in that circle of building our community. Now, on the area of my own profession around facilities management, we were in a very highly unregulated industry. And one of the things that I'm really keen to see, and I never look at competition as the name sounds. I look at individuals who are in the same business that I am in as collaborators. There's so much for all of us. And we need to start removing that scarcity mentality of the copycat movement of the one that it's my business to bring you down so I can be able to take over by either undercutting or whatever the case may be, by all means necessary, which ends up having to cannibalize the same industry that we're in. There's so much for all of us. And there is that clarion call that I have been very intentional about having those kind of collaborative sessions with my collaborators in terms of just having conversations about where can we do business more? How can we help regulate this particular industry in being able to have fair playing ground of how you're catering to your staff, caring for them, training them, building them, and ultimately building the standard of the services that we're giving. So that the customer doesn't play out the card of this guy. I'll drop this guy because this guy can be able to tell him bring down your cost. And yet now, what that does to the same industry, it brings out the danger of what we've been talking about earlier on today about mediocrity. Because all somebody now needs to work, I don't need to work towards building an excellent business in terms of processes, in terms of
just cost.
People. All I know is this guy is just looking for the cheapest cost and I'll deliver for you that, right? So that's one of the other areas of conviction that I'm putting myself in, because when I look around, a lot of them have tended to think that Parapet was the pioneer of cleaning, which isn't the case. There are many other cleaning companies that were there before us. But ideally, for us, I said, if somebody is looking at it as a big brother point of view, I would want to say, I own the space and say, yes, I will be the big brother, but can we grow together? I am not here to grow by myself. I'm here to grow with you. And there is so much scope for each one of us, because buildings are continuing to come up. And there is a higher calling for us to do, because we're not doing this business just to make money. We are creating a hygienic environment for all. We are creating a hygienic and healthy nation by the services that we're conducting today. So there's a higher calling for all of us as businesses, and that's one of the things that I feel that I'm playing on in that space of being able to really preach out and reach out to our collaborators to be able to make things better. And hopefully now, in those 10 years, we'll be having a different conversation about, yes, we built an industry that is sustainable, that is respected, that creates a win-win for all our players within that same field.
No, definitely. You can imagine without your services, some organizations, I don't know how they will survive. It looks so basic but so important. Think about it. So important, right? And Edward, for you, Flora said no. Alex has said no.
No to what?
To get into the arena. Just in case.
2027.
This can also be a good platform for you to launch yourself. So, Papa, tell us, Edward, where uko ndani?
Mimi nikiitwa nitaitika.
There's one brave man.
For me, this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And I said, I'll start very small. So in 2022, I joined the board of my primary school, where I grew up in Kikuyu. The school is Nderi Primary School. And it so happened that when we went for the first meeting, I was selected to be the chairman. So I'm actually doing my second term. And however small that position sounds, I have learned a lot, especially how the public service works. I mean, everything you have to lobby, because public primary schools don't have resources. Everything we basically have to pull the community, look for sponsors, talk to the local area MP to get things done. So I realized, in as much as I want to do business and I want to shield myself and say I don't want politics, there's no way we are going to thrive without interacting with politicians. So I've made a conscious decision that it may not be elective politics, but I'm going to get close as I can to the positions so that I can give my thoughts and opinions. I don't have the luxury to sit back and complain. And sometimes you'll be surprised. I sit with, I have a couple of friends in leadership, and you give them an idea and they've never thought of it that way. So I realized there's a lot more we can do. I know that this thing of advisory has been misused, especially in politics, where somebody has so many advisors. But I think there are things we can do within those either think tanks, advice, policy. You've seen bills being brought in Parliament, which there are people who sat somewhere and came up with and say, why can't I be part of that? And say we are going to do long-term thinking. That is my objective in changing the thinking of those. I may not be the best candidate in terms of running an elective position, but for the purpose of advising and being very close to it, I want to be there. I want to be at that table, and I want to do something that will change, have an impact to the country.
So it's a curveball a little bit. So what kind of leadership would you work under? A Trump or a Modi?
I think I'm more Trump because he's brought out, he's done very many things which are very debatable, but he's questioned the status quo. He's come and said, why do we necessarily have to do things this way? For example, when he comes and cuts aid, I know it's very painful. To some
Alex
extent,
lost.
Alex lost some jobs. But on the other hand, I ask myself, how long are we going to be dependent? Probably it takes a very painful thing like that for us to wake up and rethink, how do we create these jobs?
But look how Moody took those kind of risks. Moody, the guy of India.
Yeah.
He took those kind of, but he did it in a more structured way. That's my problem with Trump.
Yeah.
So you would work under Moody?
Yes, I mean, my
you work
issue
under
is,
Trump?
my issue
like
is
the
this
shock treatment.
cut. Yeah, now that shock treatment. Look at the cost it has, psychologically to the people, to the organizations. To that for me is whatever. I agree. He's called out a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Even this whole thing like, let me get immigrants out of my country. They're taking my local people's jobs. But somebody was asking, will those guys really take that job, or are we waiting for the next generation? So for me, it's not how he does it. It's not what he's doing right now. It's how he does it, which for me is a Moody. But sorry to interject.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
So Moody, she's a Moody.
Yeah.
You are a Trump. Yeah. Alex, Moody Trump. Who would you work under?
Moody.
Fascinating. The people who don't want to be in politics want to work under Moody.
Yeah.
But Moody, why?
Because, in every, as I said, in everything that you do in business today, and even probably the reasons why entrepreneurs stick to the game, is you always think about the consequences your decisions as an owner have, not just to your own smaller circle, but to the extended stakeholders that are out there. And ideally, you can, I'll give it from a point of a business view. You can be in a space where you need to have a haircut on your expenditure. You can quickly be able to turn things around by saying, I've killed all suppliers, I have fired or declared redundancies on half the number of my staff, and I'll be okay. Yes, you'll get the quick result, but at what expense? And it's in situations like that you do things in moderation, where you try, test, and extend the positions as it were, to be able to get things. And for me, it has worked better that way, as opposed to shock therapy, where you just wake up and make a decision that now fires up people in different angles and disorganizes and chaotic, and even to the ones who are to execute, they find themselves in very difficult situations as to how to execute that, because I can only imagine the guy who's responsible for looking at tariffs in the US. Today you're being told tariffs for China is 10%, 100%,
35,
40. Now you don't even know how to operate. And even the guys on the ground, you've confused them. And as a leader, you have to be so aware about the consequences that you have in the decisions that you make to the rest of your, and how it affects the people on the ground.
Edward is about to jump in.
Yes, there's something I wanted to mention. And I agree. Both sides have pros and cons. But there are certain instances that things have happened, and a very good example is the Mishuki rules. Public sector, public transport was chaotic. And he came and put a stop and said, no more overcrowding in matatus, 14 seat belts, the driver and the tout has to have uniform.
Painting.
I mean, he brought radical things, no discussion, because sometimes it's annoying. We over discuss, go to court, stop things, even things that are beneficial to ourselves. I think there needs to be a level of hardline stand and change certain basic things and get them done. Because we have sometimes very good ideas. Just the moment we are about to do it, then somebody goes to court or over discusses public participation.
Haki yangu.
And unfortunately, and no offense to sometimes the public participation, we are seeking opinions of people who have no idea what the long-term objective of the decisions we're making. So we find we are shelving too many things. So that's, to some extent, that's why I say, we may need the big thing will be selecting a well-intentioned leader who picks the basic items and says, no discussion, from here henceforth, this will not happen. A bare minimum. That is going to transform this country.
Interesting. I would work on it. I would for me, it's a Trump kind of model. Interesting. It's very interesting how. For me, I would take a Trump model. For me, it's so long as the intent is right. Intent is right.
Yeah.
You're not doing it for your own selfish gain as a leader. So if Trump says America first, to be honest, what's wrong with that? Me, I look at it from my point of view. I look at him and say, he says, why for a long time America has been giving too much? Finally, it's us. We need to benefit from ourselves. So I would work on a Trump structure where it is this or the highway.
The ends justify the
The
end justifies the means.
Do what we need to do. But it's interesting the way that question it really speaks to you guys and how you view life. It's amazing. It's interesting, very fascinating. Because some people would say, I cannot work under Trump. Some people would say, Modi, I have no problem, I can work under Modi. But I just love the moment we cause chaos, but to bring order to a system, right? There's no right or wrong.
Correct.
We'll only wait to see how Modi has done great for India, to be honest. Let's be with $1 billion shilling. Even America is also a large.
Well, let's wait and see.
Wait and see. But also that also tells us, why do we need more entrepreneurs in public service? Because Trump has an entrepreneur mindset. He's brought an entrepreneur mindset to public service.
I think in the Kenyan state, I believe during the time of Kibaki, I think that's the first time we tested having technocrats joining government with no political affiliations. Now, over time, that has eroded back, and we're back again to almost like technocrats being appointed with political interests. Now, the minute you have that tied to your neck, that you have a nose that is always pulling you back, and you can't do things through the experiences that you brought to the table in transforming certain departments or transforming certain ministries or parastatals, then it makes it very difficult for you, and it becomes a very high frustration effort where you see this is such great talent, a brilliant mind, but put to bad use. And with it has a very high reputational risk that is carried with it. Because you're done. If you're running, say, the leading audit firm, and then you're called into public service, that's the end of your audit firm, by the way.
You should have partners who can carry it.
Eh?
You should have partners who can carry it.
True.
Gidu is a good example. He's our friend.
But
he's gone back. And
you see, there are certain people who had to save face. Under what circumstances they had either to resign or
I got it.
You get not carry the full mile where they are able to, or end up for survival, go into politics and go for now
to protect yourself.
To protect yourself. And with it, that whole essence, first and foremost, the minute you're appointed, you become what is referred to as a PEP. You're a politically exposed person. You can't even get a bank facility to carry out law. Yet you are the same person who will probably deal with that banking. Just like, no, because I've been appointed Chairman X, now I am all of a sudden a risk to, so those are the things that one has to decide and ask themselves, okay, is it worth it? Is it worth my reputational risk? As opposed to having to get myself involved in an institution where I mean well, but because I can be the guy, the fallback guy in case things go belly up, I have no means to be able to protect my name because I've been swallowed in by a whole system.
Correct. And I think one of the things as we close, it's when you go to this room today, you had an expectation, or you had a fear, or you had an anxiety, or whatever it was. We've been here 2 hours 45 minutes.
Oh wow!
You realize it?
Seated.
Yeah.
Yeah, talking.
Wow.
when we started, you guys said you didn't realize there's a lot to talk about. And it's challenging your mind.
I thought we were just getting started.
No, because I can see guys now finally are. And I always find it fascinating is when I spend time with founders and we have this kind of conversation. By the time we finish, I have such great perspective about how you think. Come in to think about it. Because we sit here, think about it. You've never really sat with me this long to have this kind of conversation. And you realize, my God, I never thought about it. So what is your final take? How do you feel? I know I tell people it's like therapy. What's your feeling, Flo, as we close? And what feedback would you want to give entrepreneurs? And Flo said one thing. Why are we trying to do a women's show? Who is going to watch women's show? I know till now my mind is still going around. Anyway, we'll come back to that.
No, I don't mean who's going to watch. The women will, but what we are trying to do is to build and assist and men to understand women, women to understand men. So we did it together. Maybe got a female host, and then now she'll make you increase your viewership for women. Your question is
interesting. Yeah, we are doing that.
Okay, I guess I didn't realize there's so much to talk about, abundance and scarcity mentality. It affects not only business, it affects just the way we approach business and also the economy.
Your family,
your family and the economy that we also try to do businesses in. So for me, I'll just tell entrepreneurs, already we are living in an abundance mentality environment. There's a lot of everything around, globally. So if you really, really want to stand out or build a business that is going to, A, survive and B, that will last, you must drive innovation. You must stand out. And you must drive yourselves to a level of global excellence. It's not about Kenya. It's not about Africa. It's around global. If you have a product that you can put in the market, even if, it doesn't matter if it's slightly more expensive, maybe you can't fight with the economies of another country or somewhere where it's a lot. If you could justify it, bring out value, and people can actually see, yes, I'll pay for that. That's you've already won the game.
So the message is think global, but still execute local, but think globally, but also have an abundance mindset.
Yes.
Which is, I think today what I've taken from you today, there's some message you said, running scared.
Yeah.
I got something from you, running scared.
Yeah.
I thought that was very interesting, running scared. I never really thought about it, running scared. But anyway.
It's the same thing like they say, fail forward. I mean, they say if your vision is not big enough, if it's not keeping you awake at night, it's not big enough. So make sure you're always running scared, running to the edge. And the other message for entrepreneurs is you can only grow to the level of knowledge that you have. You can never grow beyond. So you yourself can be the lead of your organization or not. So as an entrepreneur, I think Edward Izandu said it very well. You've got to keep learning, you've got to keep growing, you've got to keep improving yourself in whichever season you are. Even if we're in this season of creating impact now, even in there you have to, as you continue to help the younger generation.
Go ahead. Thank you. Alex?
I truly believe we have, we live in an abundant world where there are very many opportunities that exist that probably have never been experienced. When you look at the recent, I don't want to call them inventions, but discoveries like Uber and AI and what's happening right now, and things are accelerating so quickly. The world is moving so quickly. This came out of needs that people find that there's a space where there's a need, and now it's an issue of convenience. And people are paying good money for convenience. Now, what does that tell us? It may not necessarily be in the place where you think is your typical or traditional ways of doing business. You have to think beyond and throw away that box of where you're sunk in, that these are the only types of business that are available to you. Think about how do certain things function. Any great inventor came out as a result of questioning and being curious about how does this apply? How does it happen? Does light just become light and dark become dark? How does that phenomenon happen.
Curiosity.
You know, so curiosity is going to be a very key gift that you need to really plug in as an entrepreneur. Be curious about learning what's more and out there. I'm sure for Flo here and my brother, there's a lot of things in the solar world. There's so much technology happening, and he spends a lot of time, because he's my good friend, going to discover what's happening in China, what's happening in South Africa. His curiosity has been bred by going global and seeing what's happening, what are the big players doing out there. Yeah, for Flo, I'm sure she's now looking at the next tea, and we probably just had a discovery here about Prosecco tea. I don't know.
Coming shortly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are many things that we can be able to do. It starts with curiosity, a high sense of curiosity, and with it having a real ability to adapt, because organizations will fail at this stage where there is so much happening and things changing so quickly. If you fail in getting yourself quickly to adapt and be malleable towards anything that's happening within your industry, you will fail. And your ability to adapt talks about always thinking about what can I do better in terms of my processes, what can I do better in terms of creating a better client experience, and listening more to the various audience that is either using your service or buying your product. And I believe that's where the turning point will be for a lot of entrepreneurs during this very season. There's an abundance in everything that is there available to us, in every business that you're doing. And the encouragement is to be able to just open your eyes and have real thirst and curiosity that surrounds you with that.
Yes, you should have you should have authored this book with Flora, because a lot of stuff you've said.
It's right there.
Every time I'm reading, I'm seeing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff I just peruse like this. Alex is saying it.
The principles remain the
Yeah,
same.
it's amazing.
And please get out of the copy me, the me too, whatever. By the way, if you're doing what has already been done, you're too late.
Agreed. Totally.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You know, I just feel like there's something you're saying. Anyway, it's interesting. So, Edward, as we wrap up, what's your take? Did you imagine you'd be here for 2 hours, 45 minutes?
No, not at all. In fact, when I saw the invite that be here at 8 to 1, I was wondering, what will I be doing? I've always said that I have a short attention span, but I found it very engaging. But I had the benefit of thinking through as they were answering. And there's something that I've always thought about. My paternal grandfather died in 1949 when my dad was 5 years old. So we only have one photo. And there are many times I ask myself, I wonder what kind of life he lived, or what were the things they were doing those days. Today, because of technology, we have an advantage that we record. These things are online, can be watched, I believe, for many years. One of the challenges us as Africans we've been having, we don't know our history. I mean, I can tell you a bit of what I saw my father doing, but even him didn't write anything. Sometimes I meet his friends who are still there, and they tell me the things they were doing, and I get shocked that I didn't know my dad could do that. And I think one of the most significant things today is technology, that we can sit down here, talk about what we see, what we are experiencing, for the benefit of future generations. And I think that is a very big opportunity for the ones who are going to be further generations. The other thing is that the same technology today is giving an almost equal opportunity to anybody in the world. That as long as you have an internet access, you have access to AI, you have access to information. So whether you're in Turkana or whichever part of the world, you have access to the same information to somebody in New York. That kind of levels the playing field in terms of access to information, which is a gap we had for a very long time. So those two things converge, us giving stories, discussing, not necessarily to give solutions, but to give different points of view where this information is shared, is online, and thousands of people can look, introspect, and decide which one makes sense, apply, have a different point of view. So that's a big thing for me. anytime I sit with entrepreneurs, I hear ideas. Mike has a very good idea of the early retirement.
Yeah.
I want to be on that table because it's one way of giving back. Where we have a table and we sit and invite young guys, hear their business ideas, spend time with them, show them that there's more to life than just being in the office and running numbers. So I have learned a lot today. And I agree with what you're saying. There's a part of Alex, I meet him in other social places.
I told you.
There's a part of him and the business that I've now understood. And it makes even me look at him differently. Same as Flo and yourself. So this is brilliant, and I look forward to such opportunities again. Thank you very much.
And I welcome you. You know what I was saying. Me, I never scared to talk about ideas. I told Alex earlier. I told him, my retirement plan is to have a founder's house. A founder's house like this, where around us there are people. Founders can come, spend a weekend, sit over lunch, talk. You're going through some rough moments. You're going through a moment where you need clarity of thought. Make it simple. We just have a great bed, great couch where you just sit and say, today, I don't know what I have come to do here, but by the time you leave here, there's clarity. Good food, good chef. We koroga this thing together.
Good vibes.
And vibes. And then by the time you leave there, you say, it's okay. I'll find my path. Is that correct? Yeah. And I want to ask Flo to sign for me this book. Okay? And then we say to my loving parents, I love it. And I'm happy. Look, it's very. I like the quality. It's very nice. I love it. So,
Printed in Kenya.
Printed in Kenya. Wow, it's really, the quality is very good.
Yes, I have some great printers.
Help me sign this.
Okay.
Is that editor is Carol Kishengo. Okay, interesting. We're trying to write a founder's book.
Okay.
We call it Founder's Ledger.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Okay.
And
a compendium of all these stories. Yeah.
100%. It's a story. Okay, I've given you a red pen. The pop, the pot
is my color.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your color is green.
My color is green.
Okay. You're like Moi.
Kabisa.
Yeah, Moi had a green pen for signing.
Yes, the one was signing checks.
You kweli?
Ilikuwa hapo. True story.
Very good. So Founders Battlefield. And when you come to our founders retreat, our founders retreat, or our founders villa, you'll find your book up there.
Yeah.
It's the second book we are signing.
Okay.
In this episode, we signed one in episode 5.
Okay.
Yeah, with Susie Beauty. She also has a book.
A good friend.
Actually, I've been inspired. I also like write a book.
You see?
Thank you, Flo, for inspiring me.
Yeah, because you see,
stories.
Yeah, you can call it the clean tales.
Yes.
You say in every office, we know what we see.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Or clean slate.
Clean slate, yeah. Even I saw someone in her book, she says the last cup or something. I was reading.
Yeah.
The
final sip. It's all around the teas.
So look, and sometimes I guess it's never too late. I think you need to share now.
Yeah.
Because you have stories. Yeah. And it's okay. I think you just have to put think about it. Flo, how long did it take you to write this book? A year?
It took me 3 months, but to clean it up another year. So about 18 months total, door to door.
Wow.
Look at the incremental effort. Think. He just had a few less late nights.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I became a 5 a.m. I belong to the 5 a.m. club.
Sometimes just
something I used to think was impossible.
Those 2 hours, you save yourself, you create a book.
Yeah.
So think about what you can trade off today to get you to amplify. But you talked about time.
Yeah.
True.
So what can you trade off today to then build you something like this? So you could be surprised. In 1 year, you can do this.
Yeah.
It just requires you to get up at. From 6, you move to 4.
Yeah.
And
those who know me know I love my sleep, but my God, I have to sacrifice.
So are you back to your normal
No,
sleeping
let me
schedule?
tell you, once you start the rat race, now I'm at course content because I'm training. I want to mentor them. I really want entrepreneurs to kill it. Grow business is so big, even you're scared. Yeah, that's my dream.
And it's a great way to close. And I want to thank all of you for coming, for committing your Saturday morning. It was a rainy day. You'd have been in bed.
8 o'clock Saturday.
Yeah, and,
You
we're
killed
here,
us. You killed us.
Not thinking that you're going to take all this time. So I want to thank you, Flo, Alex, and Edward for showing up. I think we call it getting to the arena.
Yes.
And today you're in the arena. And arena means you stand to be counted because your story is, and welcome to the Arena Club, and welcome to the Founders Retreat, because you'll be one of the people will be expecting. And remember that part of what we're trying to do is also create platforms that enable other entrepreneurs to also pull from you. So you'll be seeing entrepreneurs who are going to reach out to you. Once this goes live, you're going to find all people reaching out to you. As Edward said, he never saw Alex this way until you've seen another part of Alex. I've seen another part of Flo. Now, remember, there's an audience who's going to see a part they're never really. Because, maybe you go and talk about business. Today you've realized you can still talk. Business is one layer. There's a different layer into what we're discussing. So I want to thank you. And this season 2 has more complex conversation. Season 1 it's complex, but those guys had the luxury of, let's talk about capital, let's talk about markets. Now, season 2 is about going deeper. You understand? Going deeper. Philosophy, your legacy conversation, your mind and emotion, right? Your ecosystem support. So, and I think those are conversations we don't talk about that we need to talk about. So I want to thank you.
Okay.
And as we close, thank you. We constantly are receiving feedback from everybody, and we thank you for continuously keeping us engaged and giving us feedback to constantly improve. And please get brewing.
Get a copy of that.
Yes.
Thank you, Mike. I mean, I must say we also want to thank you for the opportunity and keep the conversations going. Like we say, we really need to change this narrative. We need to build businesses that are successful and outlast and live for generations. You talked about legacy. I love the way you share your own experience, because then somebody who was about to do that would say, hey, let me take a step back, or let me call Mike and clarify that. And if they could stand on our shoulders, we stood on others, and that's how you keep the ball rolling.
And that's how you build a country.
That's how you build a country.
God bless you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.